put letters for me too.
It's all
TFM,
about
DDJ,
three
and
letters.
TJS. That's right.
TJS. I like it. I like
All
it.
right.
See.
And I think
fun.
we're live-ish. Now, I want you guys to understand that it's going to be like the way that I'm doing it. I'm going through this stupid-ass system. So it's going to be like, it's going to be a delay. So if you do just happen to read what they're saying, they're going to be behind us, I think like 60 seconds. Like a minute and a half.
That's
so
fine.
It's stupid.
There,
But we're
you're talking about the
live.
chat?
Woo! Perfect.
We did it.
That's right. Well, what's going on, everyone? I want you guys to know we don't really have anything we're going to talk about. First off, this is my birthday, so thank you very much, everybody. I'm an older gentleman than I was yesterday. But I have my wine, I have my alcohol. I'm in the bar. This is typically where I would be doing the the malt liquor sippers. But right now, I got these young men on the show. You see my camera just jumped. I have these young men on the show, and this is TFM, for those who don't know, Turd Flinging Monkey. And we also have DDJ. That is the Department of Drivers. I don't know what.
Oh, no. Come on now. Come on. You forgot? Oh.
What does that mean?
Doomsday
I don't know.
Jesus.
I'm
I
a
told you
horrible
that.
host. What does it mean?
I told you that it was Doomsday Jesus, and you said, "Oh, don't say that."
Dad.
So there you go.
Well, I don't really have a problem with what people say about Jesus. I mean,
Yeah.
that's on him.
Well, you know,
Disc
here's
jockeys.
so here's the thing. Like I used to be in online competitive gaming way back in the day, and I used to troll conservative Christian gamers. They get real wound up. So I used to that was my online name, and they would get pissed off and target me, and my teammates would wreck them. So.
Well, that's better than me. Every time I got on any online gaming, listen, white people ran me off of online gaming. Every time you get online with white people, it was nigga this, nigga that, nigga that, every 5 seconds. I was like, how do they know?
No, that's just the internet. That's just the internet.
Yeah.
They say that to everyone.
Right.
You could be like the whitest person from Iceland. They'd still say that.
Well,
to you.
what you need to do, Tommy, is you need to say, "Look, your wife calls me a nigger too, as I'm taking her from behind, so it's fine."
I'm your worst cucking nightmare.
Right. Yeah. You'd be like a bull in a china bedroom instead of a china closet.
I'm a bull in a china vagina. That's me.
There you go.
But guys, we wanted to have a little bit of a discussion for the people who don't know. Again, if they're joining us, these two men are representing, like a lot of people, MGTOW. Now, for those who don't know, again, you've seen them on the show before, but I'm going to let them explain to you guys what MGTOW is and then what we're going to talk about today. So go ahead, guys.
You want to handle this, DDJ, or you want me to do it?
Oh, I'll tell you what. Why don't I go ahead and do a little intro, and then you can kind of step in and say your piece. How's that?
Okay.
All right. So MGTOW, men going their own way, basically is a personal philosophy and a lifestyle that promotes men basically gaining their value from non-gynocentric origins. So in other words, like, a lot of men will do things because of a woman's value system. So maybe they'll go to the gym to lift weights so that they can get laid, or maybe they'll go buy a nice car to attract a woman, or maybe they'll be successful in their job with the goal of basically drawing a woman's attention. Whereas a MGTOW man will go to the gym to be healthy for himself because he just wants to live a long life. Maybe he wants to be the strongest guy in his division for powerlifting or something like that. And if he's successful, it's because he's devoted to his art, not because he wants to be a slave to a woman or her gynocentric needs. So as far as that's concerned, that's a real general primer. TFM, why don't you go ahead and elaborate a little?
Well, I mean, I could, instead of elaborating, I could just kind of break it down really simply. MGTOW is about self-ownership. It's not living your life as a sacrificial utility to society or a woman or anything, because the problem is modern society doesn't, like, men have been stripped of their authority in their families. There's just all kinds of bullshit going on in society. Society honestly hates men. And yet it asks men to do everything to uphold it, to sacrifice for it, while offering nothing in return. And MGTOW says, fuck that. So if you're not going to give us a mutually beneficial arrangement, we're going to take our balls. We're going to go home.
Yeah, that's what I said. Take my dick and go home. That's one of mine. TYDAH. Now, you say this word, gynocentrism.
Right.
I don't have time to look it up, nigga. So tell me what it is.
Okay. So yeah, gynocentrism. It's a fancy
it's actually chimp nigga to you.
You know what I'm saying?
What?
Well, tell me what exactly is it? Because I've heard this word a lot. What exactly does it mean?
So gynocentrism, it basically means everything is about the perspective of the woman. So, for example, when in a divorce, everything is, they say it's for the best interest of the child, but it's clearly not, because they'll take a child and give it to a woman who's an abusive, a crackhead, who's got a history of child abuse and neglect. In fact, single mothers are the number one abusers of children. So but they'll do it anyway because they want the woman to be taken care of financially by either the baby's daddy or the ex-husband. The kid is just a means. So that's just one example. Other examples of gynocentrism are diversity quotas for women, which actually, just a bunch of shit. Everything's about the woman's perspective. There's no consistency. It's whatever benefits the woman at the time. So, for example, you get into an argument with a feminist, you try to point out the double standards where they believe something this way, but then under a different context, they believe the opposite, and they'll just accuse you of hating women. And you have these double standards in the legal system. Oh, my God.
I'm just dropping shit, man. I'm trying to figure shit out, and shit is not doing.
You need to switch to hard liquor. You need to whatever it is you're drinking. It's not strong enough, clearly.
Whatever. I would just it's okay. Just let it go.
Is this all right, Elsie?
Just let it go. It's okay.
Well, go ahead. I'm with you. I'm listening. I'm just fiddling. You put me on the roof.
All right.
That's okay. We're just being OCD. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. But
you down with OCD?
Yeah, you know me. But gynocentrism is just kind of a general societal preference for the needs and the priorities of women. And it goes beyond something like, women and children first. Because back in the day when society was more patriarchal, women were prioritized, but men had authority. Men had responsibility for women, but they had authority over women. In the name of equality, we've taken male authority away from women, but yet we still demand men be responsible for women. And it's bullshit, because you can't be responsible for something without having authority over that thing. It doesn't work, which is why families are breaking down, men are walking away, the fertility rate is in the shitter. All these are a direct result to society stripping male authority away. But they did this in the name of equality. But when men try to point out, where's the equal responsibility, women just kind of shy away from that, because that's gynocentrism. It's not about blanket equality. It's about selective equality when it benefits women, and selective, privileges when it benefits. Everything's about what benefits women. That's gynocentrism in a nutshell. Whatever benefits women, that's what society does. Even at the expense of children, because it would make sense if we're like, well, we have to benefit women because of the babies, but we prioritize women over children too.
Yep.
So that's gynocentrism.
Well, it's something that you see, and I wonder what you guys' opinion is about what's been going on, because I blame that on a hatred of men. What's going on right now in Hollywood with all these big name people having their lives ruined simply because of accusations. Do you think this is a part of it? I mean, you have women who at 20 sucked a dick so they could be in a movie. Now they're 50 and complaining that they sucked a dick to be in that movie.
Well, yeah, this is only, it's a big, it's made headlines. I call it the Salem bitch trials, because it's the same kind of thing where women are just pointing a finger without any evidence, and they're destroying men's lives. And you notice 99.9% of them, there's never a police report.
Nope.
There's no investigation.
Nope.
It's just a bitch on Twitter or Facebook pointing a finger at a guy saying, he touched my ass 20 years ago, no evidence, and people are losing their job. There was a Jeremy Piven, the guy from The Entourage. He denied the accusations, took a polygraph test, passed. He absolutely said, bitch, put up or shut up. I didn't do shit. He still lost his job. He's completely innocent. And they still canceled his show, and he still lost his job.
You serious?
So no man is safe.
Yeah.
No man.
Well, and let me add something onto that. So, like, one of the issues that I've had with the Weinstein Salem bitch trials, with the Cosby case, with Gian Gomeshi out of Canada, and a lot of the celebrities that have been targeted. You ever know that every one of these raggedy ass bitches, they all have an attorney, they all have a publicist, they've all got like the PR stuff done, and they've all had professional makeup done, like they've had the the $400 hour-long makeup before the press conference.
Yep.
That's all theater.
And
that
they
is
all
all theater.
got Gloria Allred.
Well, and I'm about to bring that up. I'm getting there, and I'm going to talk about that bitch in a minute.
Please do.
The issue that you have is that this is a coordinated campaign. So what they do is the bitches roll out, and the goal is to try to separate a man from his money. So how do they do that? Well, if they can't divorce rape you, or they can't lock you down with a kid, the new way, and this is the way that's been going on now for probably about the last 3 or 4 years, is they falsely accuse rich and successful men of sexual assault or rape or harassment or something, with the understanding that they're going to sue you, and they're trying to get you to settle out of court. Now, what these men used to do is they used to say, all right, well, I'll pay you off. Here's your whole money. Get the fuck out, right? Well, that's not what's happening anymore, because now you have like Rose McGowan, for example, who's like power thought. She got her settlement, she blew through the money, and now she's hit the wall and she's ugly and she needs more money. So now she's trying to go after Weinstein again. Now you move forward, and let's talk about Gloria Allred for a minute. I just put out a video today about her on my channel where I go into detail about how not only should she not have her bar card, she should be in jail. She has a habit of taking cases that are beyond the statute of limitations. And I looked into the Washington State, or not Washington State, that's where I live. I look into State of California Bar Association in their rules of professional misconduct and their ethical rules. And she's telling these clients that they have a court case when they're beyond their statute of limitations. And that right there is lack of competence, and she can lose her bar card for it. So she's doing it anyway, though. You want to say something? Go ahead.
No, I'm just a bit shocked. That was all that I'm listening to this, and
so she's. Go ahead.
No, that's it.
Okay, yeah. So I was gonna say, so she's accepting these cases that she knows they don't have a leg to stand on. They don't even pass the straight face test. Then what she's doing is she's holding these press conferences for the express purpose of shaming these men and trying to inspire these police departments to open up criminal investigations for the express purpose of jacking up the damages so she can collect more money from these men. Did you know that in the 10-year period from 2002 to 2012, Gloria Allred her law firm collected $250 million from men. All her law firm does is go after these men.
$250 million. What more do you want from me? No, I'm sorry.
Well, she's basically the Al Sharpton of feminism.
Right. And so, now I've even got the best part yet. So now she goes and she, I forget the first name, but her last name is Nelson. And she's trying to accuse this guy named Judge Roy Moore of sexual assault. Gloria Allred is her attorney. And just like every one of these other bitches, there's no physical evidence. There's nothing, no corroborating evidence. There's no witnesses. There's no circumstantial evidence of any fucking kind. But what does she do? She says, I got this yearbook from 1977 where he wrote me this note and then he signed it. Well, then they looked at the note, they looked at the yearbook, and they're like, let's see some of these images. The signature where he supposedly signed it, it had the initials DA on it. Well, at the end of the initials, the DA, what they found is that actually, what they did is they lifted it off a court order from when he was a judge, and they imposed it on the page.
Yep.
And the DA is Delbra Adams. Now, Delbra Adams was Judge Roy Moore's judicial assistant, who did not start working for him until 10 years later. And for those people who don't know, when judges get super busy, their judicial assistant will sign their signature and then put their initials after it, basically making those orders law. And this is like something that's done in legal systems all over the place. And it's not like they're committing fraud or anything, but she does that so they know that she signed it. So they went to her and they said, look, is this your signature? And she said, yeah, that's my signature. These are my initials. So what they did was they forged it on there. Then when they started harassing Nelson Moore, they're like, hey, look, this looks fraudulent. We need to do some forensic investigation. We need to take this and get some experts. She finally broke down and she admitted, no, I actually took some notes on it and I actually added some additional shit in addition to that. So that's forgery. And forgery is a crime and a felony. And Gloria Allred knew or should have known that her client had done this. And the fact that when people asked her, they said, look, we want to take this yearbook to forensic experts and we want to have it analyzed to see if it's legitimate. She said no. She just flat refused to do it. Then Washington Post tried to run cover for her as a cuck, and they're like, "Oh, well, we got this handwriting examiner in, and he's going to go ahead and verify the validity of it." Well, then they finally questioned the handwriting examiner, and he's like, "No, I just looked at an online image, and it was a cursory thing." He goes, "Look, in order for me to verify whether or not it was fraudulent or forged," he goes, "I would need Nelson's signature or Nelson's handwriting. I would need Judge Roy Moore's handwriting. I would need to see the original document and all the other documents that may or may not be associated with it so I can determine whether or not it was real or false or fake." He goes, Washington Post contacted me online, and from the time they emailed me to the time that I got back with them with my just initial cursory opinion, he goes, was an hour, and it wasn't even really an analysis. It was just like an opinion. Basically, it didn't count for shit. So Gloria knew this, but this is fraud. It's incompetence. And people are actually speaking out against it. And it's kind of nice because you don't see this. Feminists have never had opposition before. They steamroll everything with their hypocrisy, and they think that just because they fucking open their mouth, that should be enough to demonize a man. And I'll tell you, Gloria Allred not only should not have a bar card, she should be in federal prison for these felonies because she's doing this across state lines.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, because I'm really pissed, that I know what you're talking about when this first started, because they were saying, well, why don't you just go ahead and get this legitimized by having a handwriting expert and all of these people make sure that this is authentic. And she was basically trying to admonish the people saying, well, you're trying to make this more about her proving something to you instead of the man proving that he didn't do it. And I'm like, isn't that what the law's supposed to be? Aren't you supposed to?
Well, right.
Aren't you supposed to prove I did something to you, not me prove I didn't?
Well, this is only happening because Roy Moore is running for Senate. The same thing happened with Donald Trump. There was like 3 or 4 women who accused him of rape right as the election was happening, and then as soon as he won, they shut the fuck up. And this all
it wasn't just that. Remember, they did that to Bill Clinton too.
Right. Every time he's in the middle of an election.
Actually, hold on. You know what? With Bill Clinton, they tried to come up and do that, but it was the feminists who shut him up. And they eventually admitted that the feminists admitted that they actually stood with Bill Clinton to shut these bitches up. So it's different because Bill Clinton was a Democrat. That was the pussy pass they got.
My point is, though, when during the election between Trump and Clinton, Hillary Clinton, not Bill Clinton, there were all these women like, oh, Donald Trump raped me. And there was nothing there. But they were there to try to hopefully swing the election in favor of Clinton, because as soon as the election was over, they disappeared. And right now, Roy Moore is in the middle of an election, and Gloria Allred's job is to just cast shade on him, hopefully tilt the election in favor of the Democrat. Because the day after the election's over, whether he win, lose, or draw, she's going to disappear. Gloria Allred's going to try to settle out of court. She's being bankrolled by the Democrats. I'll bet money on it. And her job is just to cast shade on Roy Moore and hopefully cost him the election. That's all it is. Well, it's just politics.
Let me ask you this then. If that is true, you have situations now where most of the guys who are being accused are outright ardent liberals.
Right.
Leftists.
Well, yeah.
There's a huge. Here's the thing. Gloria Allred's not representing most of the women involved with #MeToo. This is like a huge thing. Now, Roy Moore is very specific. I think that's politically motivated. But when you're talking about Harvey Weinstein, Kevin Spacey, all these Hollywood producers and stuff like that, that's some of it is just women looking for a cash out. They were abused years and years ago. Or one of them, I remember reading this one article, there was a woman who was offered a part in the movie Marco Polo by Harvey Weinstein. So she slept with him, and then she didn't get the part. So she's crying rape because basically she was a whore and the check bounced.
Right. Well, and let me touch on this whole thing with the fact that the liberals are the ones being targeted.
Yep.
So, here's the thing. women are hypergamous, right? They will hook you up and they will be with you and they will do whatever you need them to do until they are done using you. And then once they are done using you, they are gone. And when they're gone, they'll act like they were never with you. Or if they have to get backed into a corner and they have to say they were with you, they're like, oh, he was abusive or he was mental. It's shit talk, right? Mm-hmm. Well, in Hollywood, what's going on is that everybody has pushed into this whole sex culture. I mean, Hollywood is ridiculously promiscuous. And I mean, there are Hollywood actresses that have higher notch counts than professional prostitutes. So, it is what it is. But what's going on is that with all the virtue signaling and everything going on, these women think they can cash out on everybody. And honestly, I think it's going to backfire on them. I think what you're going to see is that all these liberals who get wrongfully targeted, I think it's going to be an issue. But then you got the idiots like Louis C.K., is sitting here, yeah, I masturbated in front of these bitches. And you're like, really?
So dumb. Okay. Who does that?
Yeah.
Who's like, hey, come up to my fucking hotel room. I'm going to masturbate in front of you. Just jerk off by yourself.
Right.
Watch a porno. What are you doing jerking off? Why bring a woman into your room if you're just going to jerk off? That's just way too much effort for absolutely no reason.
Right. And so my whole point is that, these guys are there. They've made themselves vulnerable. Yeah, he just had to go get some.
Yeah,
he does this before.
I'll be right back. But I'll let you
We're
guys,
fine. We'll keep talking.
Hear you.
All right. Yeah.
All right. There you go.
So they do this. They got these guys that are right next to them. They sell the
DDJ, pass. We should chill our books while Tommy's gone.
Oh, there you go. Okay, go ahead and show your book first. Wait.
So I wrote a Christmas book. It's available on Amazon. It's called The Doll on My Balls. It's a Christmas story. It's written in verse. It's only $2.99 on Amazon Kindle. Go DDJ.
Go. Feminist Lie was all about equality. It was a best-selling book for the first 2 weeks it's out. It continues to sell today with over 85 reviews. Amazon rates it at 4.5. It's on paperback and Kindle. And I did it before Tommy got back. All right, now we can go back to the conversation.
So anyway, there.
Shill alert. Hashtag shill alert. So the point is about the liberals is that, these guys, they were out doing their thing. They were cucked out. They were getting some sex. The women were done with them. And now they started fucking crucifying everybody. And it's the majority of the accusations are false. And you know what? They shouldn't have been there in the first place. But I'll tell you, I think what's going to happen is I think it's going to backfire on them. And I think that a lot of these liberal men are going to be like, holy shit, I'm going to get fucked up. Did you lose your shot glass or something, Tommy? You look upset.
I lost my shirt. I promised a young lady I would wear the shirt that she gave me. And the people in the comment section reminded me. And I can't find the shirt. It was here. You know it was. And I can't find the shot glass. But I can't find it. It's fucking gone.
Oh, you just got to drink from the bottle now.
You like a sad violin music.
I'm gonna let you guys do this for like 2 more minutes. I'm gonna look for 2 minutes. And I'll be right back.
There we go.
Right. Turn to rant there, TFM. Go. Tag me out.
Well, okay. I mean, I guess here's the thing. So a lot of these women in Hollywood, they're just personally looking for a payday or they're looking for attention. A lot of the initial accusers were just accusing, these directors from way back in the day. It's spread out. I don't think the people, in Hollywood knew how far this was going to spread, how much, because it's taking out a lot of people. And the thing is Hollywood is so corrupt and so hypersexual that these aren't really false accusations. And you could argue, if you go into like what happened with Louis C.K., if a celebrity invites you into their hotel room, he's not going to give you his autograph. So these women
you're not there to play checkers.
Yeah, he's not there to fucking sit you down on the bed and talk about your daddy issues. He's there to fuck. So if you go to a hotel room of somebody
like me,
there's going to be a dick is going to come out of the pants.
Choke slam. You're not going to the hotel to fucking
Yeah, but here's the problem. When you listen to that asshole Weinstein with that one woman who's recording him, he sound like a dick. And then Matt Lauer, he sound like a dick. Like, I need to teach a class.
But you see with Matt Lauer was wearing fucking bitches lingerie before. Of course he sounds like a dick.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, I need to teach a class. And the class, and I've been trying to do it since I started. Look, You can't come to my house if we ain't fucking. You can't come to my apartment. I mean, wherever the fuck my domicile. That's where I lay my head. That's where you gonna give me head. There needs to be a rule. These dudes, you know who you are. Why would you be paying $500 to $1,000 to $3,000 a night in a hotel and a bitch thinks she gonna come over there to read a script? You're not reading no script. You hit a suck a dick. Now at the end of sucking that dick, I might have a few pieces of paper laying around. Let me see if the bitch can read. She use her mouth very well. Maybe she can talk. But other than that, I don't give a fuck. And men need to start saying this. You don't get to come by my hotel room without sucking my dick. Next question.
Well, and I need to add on that too, because I just had a conversation with a woman about this earlier today. And I was like, look, she was upset because some dude was like, he had lied to her. And then he switched up on her. And I'm like, look, if I want to fuck, I'm going to tell you I want to fuck. There's going to be no confusion. You know? none of this friend zone shit. No. Look, I'm interested in you sexually. We have nothing in common other than my dick and your vagina. And there it is. So if that's not what's going to happen, then I got to go and jump into my phone book real quick. And you got to go, I don't know, wherever the fuck you go. You got to go play hide and go fuck yourself because I got no time for you. You know, when you tell women it like that and you're upfront with them, obviously a little more articulate than I just did, they're usually cool with it if they're kind of into you. They don't give a shit. They don't even pump the brakes. They're just like, okay.
Right.
Well,
like,
but it depends
on
if they.
Up front, but that's what I'm saying. Why are these dudes doing that? Why do we have to tell people? You and I aren't rich like these guys, but we're smart enough to say, why would you? To me, it seems like they were lame before they got money. And money doesn't take the lane out.
Well, I have this. I wouldn't even call it a theory. It's like a way to explain this. So, if people know about alphas and betas. I add cucks to so it's A, B, C. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Right.
So you got the alphas are the A's. So alphas are good-looking guys. They're confident. Women want to have sex with them just for the pleasure of their company. Okay, they don't need to try very hard. But generally, if women want to have sex with you and you don't need to flash any cash, you don't need to be a nice guy. They just want to fuck because.
Go on.
Okay.
I'm trying to look for my category.
All right, so that's alpha. Alphas are the guys that women want to fuck just for the pleasure of their company. Betas, they have to use money.
Okay, because they're not. You brought me up. Go ahead. I want to hear about myself.
So they're not. So betas aren't necessarily good looking. They're not, but they have money. So they attract gold diggers. And so it's basically like prostitution, essentially. Now,
gotcha, Tommy.
You can hold on. Well, but then the third category are cucks. Now, cucks, they're not attractive nor are they rich. So the only card they can play is to be a nice guy. So to try to be like, I can treat you better. Oh, girl, I'm going to take good care of you. That's a cuck. That's like the fucking mating call of the cuck. Now, you can be a beta cuck. You can be like a rich guy who's trying to be a nice guy. That's a divorce rate magnet right there. You're just asking to be divorce raped if you're a beta cuck. You could be an alpha beta. If you're a good-looking guy that also has money that women want to fuck and use as a gold digger, that's all good. But that's kind of like my kind of overarching explanation. And when you look at Harvey Weinstein and these Hollywood producers, they're not good-looking men. If they didn't have money, if they didn't have influence in the industry, no one would be fucking them. So they use their money and their influence to try to get, and not just anyone. Like they could probably get some waitress at Denny's to fuck them.
Don't say nothing about that. That's what Tiger Woods prefers.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah. And he could have done better than that too. But again, that's our alpha beta cuck. There you go.
Now, but these, you made me lose my train of thought. Damn it.
Well, here's the thing. Let's talk about the Denny's hoe for a minute. All right, look, if you're in the desert, right, and you're about to fucking die of dehydration, you might have some dirty water, but when you get back to civilization, you don't brag about it.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
You just don't talk about it no more. You're like, yeah, it was a drought. I had to fucking do what I had to do, and then you move on with your day.
I tell people all the time, when I go to the club at 10 o'clock, I'm looking for a 10. By the time 2 show up, I'm going home with a 2. Whoever I got to go home with is from 10 to 2. And look, I've slept with some motherfucking unsavory women, but it was just that time of the week. I was struggling.
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever fucked a chick so fat you had to hold her belly up with your arm like the car of a hood of a car?
I fucked up. The bitch she was like 350 pounds. She was as big as the bed. I literally would just fuck whatever was wet. I had no idea if it was pussy or not.
Okay.
At least you admit it. At least you admit it.
Right.
And don't get me wrong. I have slipped on that banana peel, and you're like, holy shit, I got to get the fuck out of here. What did I just do?
Right, because the sad part about it is the fat bitch felt good. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it felt
Oh,
good.
no,
you ever
no,
fuck
no,
around,
no,
she talking about
no,
some, let's
hold
go
up,
to dinner.
you gotta
You
pump your
might take
brakes.
this fat hoe, but then you realize she's fat.
You know, if she weighs near what I weigh, I'm not even touching her. Okay?
See, you got
You can't
standards.
be
That's
that
the difference between you and
Well,
me.
I got
I don't have
standards,
those.
Okay.
All right. Sometimes you got to fuck a waterbed, you know?
Exactly.
You get it. Okay, fair enough.
I think we broke Tommy.
Yeah. But let me ask. When it comes to stuff like this, though, why is it that we men are falling in line with this? Because it's ridiculous. But we men aren't standing up and saying anything, because I tried to tell the story, and I told it on Steven Crowder's show, about the woman who I was with. And this woman was an older woman. I think my shit is on. This woman's was an older woman, and I was looking to move up in the company where I worked at. So I can't come out right now and say that woman forced me to have sex with her. And I'm not dumb enough to where if I don't want to fuck you, I could quit the job. If I don't want to fuck you, I could just say no and then sue you once you won't give me an advance because I wouldn't fuck you. But I don't know why men aren't coming up and saying, these women can come back later and say what we did is wrong. But there's no man in America that's been able to come back and say that these women who are, as you spoke of, gold diggers, aren't they doing the same fucking thing?
Well, TFM said this in the beginning of the stream. Society is gynocentric.
Yeah,
and you have to understand that. Go
I
ahead.
can explain it. Okay, so this is textbook gynocentrism. So if you're a man, you own a company, you have power and influence, and some woman who wants to leverage your power and influence to further her own career offers her body to you, and you make a deal and you accept that, no crime has been committed at all. However, if you as a man who's got power and influence petition a woman who might benefit from your power and influence, hey, I can help your career. That's sexual harassment, and that is life-destroying at this point, where she can, like some of these guys being accused, they didn't even fuck. They didn't even jerk off on them like Louis C.K. did. They just petitioned them. They're like, hey, you want to fuck? You know, I'm rich and powerful. I could help your career. Oh, and they clutched their pearls and fainted from the vapors. And but the thing is, when a woman does it, it's not even a crime. It's, you know, there's already a gender sentencing gap. Fuck, Tommy left again. Okay, I'll explain this to the audience. So he's the consummate professional. But, you know, there's a racial gap in sentencing. Like, I think it's like black men get 6% longer sentences, or it might be white men get 6% lighter sentences. So there's a statistically significant racial gap in sentencing. But for women, it's like a 60% gap. It's like 10 times the racial gap. Women get a 60% lighter sentence for the same crime. And in many cases, such as this one, it's not even a crime when a woman does it. Not only do they get lighter sentences, it's not even a crime. A woman can do it legally, whereas a man, his life would be over. His career would be over. He'd be fired. He may even be arrested and charged with a crime. He'd have to register as a sex offender. But a woman can does it. Nobody cares.
Did you hear
that
what Steven Crowder said? He's a friend of mine, but what he said on the interview I put up today?
I saw it. I was making videos today. I didn't get a chance to watch it. I apologize.
Well, let me tell you what he said, which set me back. Like, I didn't know how to respond to him. When I was talking about exactly what you just said, he said, well, yeah, but women can't be predators. Men can. He just acted like it wasn't a fucking law. Like, it doesn't matter if it's the predator. It's a fucking law. It doesn't matter if the person said, I want to fuck you. Legally, they can't because they're too young. Yet that was his answer.
Right.
That's because he's in denial. Do you mind if I address that?
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. I'm tired of talking.
All right. So here's the thing. So there was a guy who came to Canada in the 70s called Yuri Bezanov. He was a head propagandist from the KGB. He defected from the USSR. And he talked about, in 1984 in an interview with the Cato Institute, he talked about social justice back then. And one of the things he said was that the Russian idea to take over the world was not to do like the James Bond spy type of shit. It was to change the culture to communism. It was to change it to socialism. And the way that you did that was you had to condition people over a period of time, usually 10 to 15 years, to quit thinking critically, to quit thinking about the obvious, to quit thinking about facts. So basically, at one point, you could tell somebody the facts, or you could tell them the truth. You could show them the evidence behind it, and it could be rock solid evidence, but they still wouldn't be able to process it because the indoctrination has been so complete. Well, if you look at the way second wave feminism has kicked in, second wave feminism back in the 60s, all the way up till now, I mean, it's been 50 years. And so you have multiple generations of people that are teaching feminist ideology as though it's the truth. And to give you a prime example of that, let's look at the Duluth model for a minute, right? You know, you say women can't be predators. This is where I believe this comes from. And basically, the Duluth model was created in Duluth, Minnesota, and it was based on a lie. It was based on ideology. And one of the co-founders actually admitted it. And she said that when they found, so like one of the things they say is they have a power and control wheel. And part of their little power and control wheel, they say, men want power, so that's why they abuse women. That's like the whole patriarchy theory. Well, the reality was that what the women were saying was, he gets power when he hurts me or when he hits me. He gets power when he's abusive, or he gets authority. It wasn't that they wanted it, and most of the men who they interviewed and they went through the process with said the exact same thing, but they ignored it and they changed it, and they knew they were changing it for ideological reasons. Now, why is this important? It's important because that Duluth patriarchy theory was funded by government welfare, and it spread throughout the United States. In I think it's like over 30 states, it's mandated to be used. It's spread throughout the entire Western world. It's used in the United Kingdom, it's used in Sweden, it's used in Australia, in Canada. And even when it's not used, the domestic violence intervention models are actually based on it. Now, here's the thing that's even worse. Not only is the domestic violence intervention systems being based on it, but in addition to that, you have sexual harassment policies for companies. You have sexual harassment and abuse policies for schools and all this stuff. They're teaching these horribly debunked theories. And literally, the co-founder has debunked her own stuff. I made a video about that the other day. And they're teaching this stuff as though it's true. Now, what's the long-term effects? Well, they're teaching the cops this. They're teaching the judges this. So when a woman rapes a young boy, or like a teacher, or if a woman assaults a man, because of patriarchy theory and because these judges and these prosecutors and these attorneys, because they've been indoctrinated into believing that men are abusers and women are victims, when these women are accused of these crimes, the judges are like, oh, she's a victim. There must have been a reason for it, Oh, she stabbed him in the balls after sex. Oh, well, it's because he was an abuser. It wasn't because she's a fucking psychopath. Right. So they have this cognitive dissonance where they just make up these excuses. And then all of a sudden, go ahead.
Well, there was an article, a woman bit the testicles off of a man and claimed self-defense.
Right.
Like,
right.
What? Who puts, first of all, if you're like threatening someone, why would you put your balls in their mouth?
Right.
Like, here, hold these for me. Like,
right.
Oh my God.
But here's the point. So now you have the Duluth model came out in the 80s, right? Now we're in 2017, almost 2018. So you have all these judges, and these judges, when they were young attorneys, they were being mentored by other judges who were indoctrinated with the same shit. So you have multiple generations of professionals, PhD level professionals, being indoctrinated in this flawed and failed ideology. And so anytime a woman gets up in front of them, they're like, oh, well, we're going to give them excuses, and then we're going to give them off with a pussy pass. So they're going to get, 4 hours probation and, 5 winning lottery tickets. There you go. Have a nice day. Right. But then the guy, he gets the shit thrown at him. So I guess my point is I'm trying to say is that now you have generations of guys, and you look at Steven Crowder. He's a smart guy, but even he is victim to this kind of indoctrination. And you see this because the thing about indoctrination is it doesn't matter your level of education.
Yep.
Once the indoctrination is successful, you believe it regardless of the facts in front of your face. And that's the biggest problem that you have with conservatives, is that conservatives, look, they care about their women. They want to have families and this and that. They want a white knight for them. But the problem that they have is that they cannot see women's nature, the hypergamous nature, the predatory nature of the women that are like that for what it really is. And so when the reality hits them in the face, they say stupid shit like women can't be predators.
Right.
It defies observable reality.
Well, there's a really good stark example that happened the last month or two. There was a woman in the UK that stabbed her boyfriend with a knife in the leg, and the judge basically says, "Oh, I don't want to ruin your medical career," because she was a student for like a pre-med student, so he didn't want to ruin her career because she was so talented. So she stabbed the motherfucker with a knife, and the judge let her go. And what's funny is she's actually petitioning the court to have that stricken from her record because she's worried that the charges are going to haunt her, even though she didn't even spend a day in prison. Meanwhile, here's another from the same country, the UK.
And she confessed.
She confessed, and like she stabbed the motherfucker with a knife. Meanwhile, in that same country, a man who was also he was about to become a doctor, or he wasn't quite a doctor, but he was like in that process. So he was further along than this bitch was. He was having consensual sex with a woman, squeezed her tit too hard, got his career is ruined, and he has to register as a sex offender for squeezing a chick's tit too hard that he was having consensual sex with. And the woman can stab motherfucker with a knife and gets a pussy pass. This guy squeezes a tit and his career's over. And he's got to register as a sex offender.
I'm looking up, and I just looked this up, and I'm so pissed off that this bitch actually is able to talk. There's a report, and it was put out in 2014. Miss Savannah breaks silence about killing boyfriend. 11 years ago, Savannah ignited worldwide attention when the city's beauty queen of just 4 months was charged with murder of her boyfriend. Nikki Redmond was acquitted after facing life in prison. She has remained quiet about her personal life until now. In her memoirs, which is on sale on Amazon, Nikki shares some painful details about her life and the night everything changed. Mind you, this bitch followed her boyfriend to his side chick or main chick's house. She found out she was the side chick that way. This bitch shot him at his new girlfriend's house and claimed that he was a drug dealer and that he was violent, and that bitch got off. She shot this man looking for him. He wasn't looking for her. He wasn't bothering her. Think about that.
Right. Yeah, but how hot was she?
Apparently she was very hot, to the point of where she's able to write some fucking memoirs. I heard of the memoirs of a geisha girl. Hell, I heard of memoirs of a gay girl. What is this, memoirs of a murdering bitch?
Yep.
Yeah, I think that rolls off the tongue really well.
Yeah, it really does. There's your next book. You'd be an author too, Tommy. Look,
buying the movie rights.
Right, exactly. Let me tell you even a more of a fucked up story. It's I wouldn't say more fucked up, but it's just as fucked up. So, and again, hashtag shill alert my book. But in my book, I talk about there's a woman who was a domestic violence. She worked on a domestic violence task force. She was like a domestic violence advocate. And she was with a woman, the mom, and the dad who he just got custody of the children. He went to the school to pick them up. He gets to the school. He picks up the kids. He's got his sister with him. They drive to the sister's house. The mom, she lost custody of the kids. So she went out and did what's called forum shopping, where she started going out to different judges to get a friendly order, even though nobody knew what was going on. So like she was, trying to, and she brought the domestic violence advocate with her to like create fake credibility. So they got this order. So there were these two competing orders, and she was trying to serve the order with the kid, on the father, so that she could snatch the kid from him unethically. Well, they followed him to the home. The dad gets out of the car and says, "Hey, head in the house." So the dad has the sister head into the house. The domestic violence advocate is driving the vehicle. The mom is in the passenger side. The domestic violence advocate gets out of the car, runs over to the father, pulls out a large caliber handgun and shoots him in the chest. What? He falls to the ground, and she stands over him and she pumps 2 more rounds into him to make sure he's dead in front of his children. And his mom, the mom was there. Then, it gets better. Then she called the cops and said that he was going to attack her and tried to claim self-defense. But the neighbors had seen them pull up because they like pulled up in like the little Hollywood chase style. So the whole neighborhood had heard it. And so the witnesses actually got there, and they basically testified that, yeah, this woman was a fucking predator and this is what she did. And they fucking basically, instead of charging her with first-degree murder, they charged her with second-degree murder, and then they slapped her on the wrist with the fucking sentence. But here's the thing. They should have charged the mom as an accessory. They never did.
They won't do that. You think about how many women have done things like this. I was watching something last night on HLN, and it's the same damn thing. Woman obviously helped dude. There was this one story where a woman and this man went on a killing spree. They caught them both. She turned state's evidence. She got on the stand, she cried, and they believed, and you guys probably know this as well. There's several stories of where the women have said, well, I was influenced by the guy because I'm a weakling, because I'm too stupid to make my own damn decisions, and I'm easily swayed by a man. They charged the man, sentenced him to death, gave her a 5-year sentence where she ended up only doing a year. Do you know they when they sold the house where they were killing the bodies at, somebody who was buying the house found a box full of videotapes? Guess what the videotapes had in them?
She was probably her being the aggressor.
She was the
leader.
She was the leader.
Right.
She was the ringleader. But because of the United States, they can't go back and try her because that's double jeopardy.
That's not true. No, it's not.
They can't?
No, it's not.
Well, they haven't been, so they're just not doing it.
Right. That's called new evidence. You can open up a case on new evidence, and with murder, you don't have a statute.
God, dog.
Yeah, they're just not going to because vagina.
They're just not going, right, because of vagina, right.
Yeah, now here's the problem. So people like Steven Crowder, and I use the term traditionalist versus patriarch. So there are people who basically understand that just as a simple matter of biology, men are going to be responsible for women, but men need to have authority over women. I call those men patriarchs. Then there are the men, I call them traditionalists. They believe in traditional gender roles. They believe that men need to be responsible for women, but then they also paradoxically believe in gender equality, which this is where you get these retarded double standards and these blind spots where people like, oh, men are always the aggressor. Women can't be predators. Because, when we have these cases where the woman is seen as she doesn't have agency, she's a tool, she's not, basically she's a child. We do not treat women like they have the responsibility of an adult. We don't give them the agency of an adult because for the most part, they're not capable of it. And we accept that as biological and observable reality. But then we turn around and be like, of course you can vote. Of course you could work in this position you're not qualified for. Of course you could serve on the board of my company you didn't build. Why don't I just step down and give you my job? Oh, you drove my company into bankruptcy. Oh, well. So that's the dumb thing. It's not the fact that, if gender equality were possible, I would be an egalitarian, but it's not. Men and women are biologically different. Men are going to be responsible for women. So we need to accept that as a biological fact. Maybe we could change it down the road with science, but we're not there yet. But we have to have authority if we're going to have responsibility. This double mind, I don't know what you call double think, where it's like men are responsible for women because women are inferior to men, but women are also equal to men. And even though they don't have the same responsibility, we need to give them the same freedom and authority. That is insane. And the results is all the shit we're talking about is the direct result of this double think that men are responsible for women, but they can't have authority because that would violate equality. It's bullshit. If men are responsible for women, which we all as a society agree that men are responsible for women, men must have authority over women. It's one or the other. Either women need to take care of their own shit, get off fucking welfare, pay their own taxes, fight in their own fucking wars, and serve the same sentences as men for the same crimes, or they shouldn't fucking vote. They shouldn't be voting themselves men's money. They shouldn't, all this shit. It's one or the other. Because to try to have it both ways, this is destroying Western civilization. It's
and
why
I'll tell you what,
the fertility rate is shit. It's why all this shit's happening. Nobody's getting married. Nobody's having kids. Everything's going bankrupt. And the welfare state, which women vote for to expand, It's a Ponzi scheme. You have to have more workers every generation to pay for all the people on benefits. If nobody's getting married and nobody's having kids, that is doomed to fail.
Yeah, but
this
do women give a shit? I hear what you're saying.
They're fucking children.
Right, they're children. They have no foresight. They have no foresight at all. There's no consequences for them. They don't see far ahead.
So the humane thing to do. See, some people are like, "Oh, this is let this motherfucker burn." Millions of people are going to die. The humane thing to do is to take women's rights away, to restore male authority and save Western civilization. Because the alternative is this motherfucker burns, and a lot of people are going to die. And women still lose their rights because when the government collapses, nobody has rights. There's no scenario where they keep their rights, so we might as well save Western civilization in the process.
I agree.
Well, and let me add something onto that real quick, too. I know that for those people out there that are new to MGTOW, this might actually sound like alarmism or hyperbole or even just straight bullshit. But I'll tell you what, Sweden is run by a feminist government. It's been run by a feminist government for 20 years. It is a shit show. Their cops do not have control of the streets. It is the rape capital of Europe. It is a complete shit show. It is a welfare state, and it is failing. They're talking about deploying the military in the middle of the streets. This is happening now. This is happening today. Okay, you have in Venezuela, the socialist shithole of Venezuela, who borrowed all this money, and they're like, oh, Venezuela is the fucking example that Western society should go off of. Well, guess what? You have female doctors and lawyers and female PhD graduates who are going to other countries and becoming prostitutes and smoking cock because they can't find a job. They can't, and nobody there are no rich men left in Venezuela. They are smoking it. They are taking the bukkake choke slam as much as they can do because holy shit, they want some ramen and a roof.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I think these are the best more than the Bolivar.
Right, and these are the cream of the education crop in Venezuela. Venezuela is a shithole, and it is a failed state that doesn't know it is yet. So if you don't think that this shit is coming, you have another thing coming. And you look at California, holy fuck. California is just, it's ridiculous. They have like a statewide hepatitis epidemic right now.
Well, do you know why? Hold on, because a lot of people, I didn't know this. Somebody actually brought it to my attention. The reason why there's this huge hepatitis outbreak in California, where people they gotta scrub the sidewalks, is because of the environmentalists. They outlawed plastic bags because that was hurting the environment. So homeless people had nowhere to shit because they used to shit in the plastic bags and throw them in the garbage. But now there's no plastic bags, so they shit all over the street. And now there's a hepatitis epidemic.
Serious?
So these women, it's all because of women, because they're emotional thinkers, they're children. They're like, oh, we need to help the planet. We need to ban plastic bags. Oh, that's going to save the planet. And now they have an actual hepatitis outbreak where they have to scrub the sidewalks with pressure washers because all the homeless shit is causing an epidemic, and they won't do anything about the homeless either. So it's like that island in Pinocchio where the kids are in charge and they're all smoking and playing pool and then they turn into donkeys. That's what happened when you let women vote. That's what happens to Western civilization.
They turn into jackasses. That's why I call California. Yeah, I call California dog shitistan. Because that's really where it's headed.
I'm not even going to defend it.
Well, if you think about it, the liberals, the Democrats, they have the correct mascot because the majority of them are jackasses. So when you think of the situation that's going on right now that you're able to point out, and I think the first time I heard somebody say that, it wasn't even me. It was a female caller who called in my show, and she said the worst thing that happened to Western civilization where women were given the right to vote. And I was so shocked. I'd never heard anybody say that, but then I tried to listen to her reasoning, and she made perfect sense. If you think about what the liberals do, they give the fringe people rights that they didn't do anything to gain. Then they turn around and give them power over the people who actually work. And that's what we're dealing with now. You have guys, for the people who watched me today when I was going to get my driver's license, I'm pretty sure I offended the shit out of those women up there at the driver's license place, because I was talking about how you have women and they always do those menial jobs where they're answering fucking phones, but then they come home and they talk shit to dudes who are out there pouring fucking asphalt in 120 degree weather in Arizona. They get the same fucking rights as you. That's not right.
Well, yeah. Well, this all started in the progressive era in the early 1900s, late 1800s. And basically the progressives, they had a very radical agenda to completely change the United States of America. They wanted to. If you look at what happened in the early 1900s, a whole slew of constitutional amendments were passed. But the first one was giving women the right to vote. And the reason why is women naturally desire security over freedom. And that if you're a socialist or a Marxist, and that's what the progressive era was, they were basically an offshoot of European Marxism. They knew that women would be a natural constituency for bigger government, more welfare, expanded power for them. So by giving women the right to vote, they knew it would lead to them taking power, and it worked. You look at all the constitutional amendments that were passed during the progressive era. It was like a dozen or so constitutional amendments, and it was because you had it was just easier. And you see the Democrats doing this, and I don't mean to be partisan about it. I hate both parties, but one of the things they do is if they don't try to make an argument about like why their policies are good for America, they just import voters to vote for them.
That's
so
right.
They gave women the right to vote in the 1900s. Now they just import people from Latin America or fucking the Middle East or shit. They don't give a shit. As long as you'll vote for them, they'll open the gate wide open. And they don't give a shit what happens to the country. They don't give a shit if all these people just go immediately on welfare. They don't care what happens to the economy. They don't care what happens to jobs. As long as you vote for them and they get power. Because here's their long game. When shit collapses, whoever has the guns gets to remake the country in whatever image they want. Because when I don't know, what is that? Is that supposed to mean something? I don't know. Are you just shilling the wine?
No, I was showing the audience. They wanted to know what I was drinking. So while
okay.
you
I
speak,
thought
I
that was significant to what I was talking about. Like,
no. I'm not offering you any.
Okay.
I'm not offering you any wine.
Come on now, you're not even
rules
sharing your alcohol, really? Is that where we're going? I thought we meant more to one another.
Yeah.
We can't even drink together. Come on now.
Nope, same rules apply at my house for everybody. You don't want to come visit.
Oh, that's right. I'm not sucking your dick.
I'm good. Yeah. I'm not letting you suck my dick either.
Okay. There you go.
But like you gotta understand though, from what you were saying, this situation is one where the women are being able to get over, but they don't do anything. And like you said, it's going to come back and hurt us as a society. And I like what you said. They're taking away the guns, so they know whoever last is with the guns is now making the rules. Can you explain to us, though, the men? Because I like how you also stated, hey, you're not a fan of Democrats or Republicans. I tell people I'm a man before I'm a Democrat or a Republican or some fucking party. So I look at men and say, maybe we should start talking to them not as Democrats, not as Republicans, not as any party affiliation, but as strictly males. Why haven't we done that yet?
Well, because
the only people that are doing that right now are MGTOW right now.
Yeah, MGTOW.
That's the only ones who are.
MGTOW is like, it's the only group I could think of that's basically apolitical, is aracial even a word? I don't even know. But nobody gives a shit. MGTOW doesn't care. In fact, my Hail Mary play to try to save Western civilization is I want to red pill men across the political spectrum. And I don't give a shit. Like, there are white supremacists, there are black supremacists, there's Marxists and communists and fascists. Here's the thing. We can hash out all those differences later. If we don't restore male authority, we're all like Western civilization is going to end. And here's the issue. The men are going to be the ones who suffer. The women, when Western civilization collapses because nobody's having babies and we're replaced as a society, all the women have to do is get on their back and spread their legs and they'll be fine. It's the men who are going to be taken out back and shot in the back of the head. You know what? We need to talk to ugly bitches too, though. Ugly bitches need to realize that y'all can get shot in the back of the head too. Well, no.
I think the other thing is that the thing is that these bitches need to realize is that their $4 pussy, whether they're a fucking 10 or a 3, their $4 pussy is not worth $100,000. That's what they need to understand.
But this is important. So, because I get into arguments with a lot of guys who are like, well, we need to convince women to, give up their rights. We need to make the case. We need to get women on our side. We need women to buy in. No, we don't.
No, we don't.
Women, we can solve the problem ourselves. Women's permission is not required. They didn't earn these rights.
Well, look at what happened in Iran. Women, remember, Iran, they have pictures of it. Like I think in the 50s or 60s. Women were wearing pants and they were westernized. They shut that shit down. They didn't need the women's permission. Because the women,
Nope.
and you stated it earlier, and men need to start saying this. Who the fuck is out there working? Who the fuck is out there doing all of this stuff? We are.
Men are net taxpayers. Men built civilization. It wasn't
They're
women.
the only ones. Women will follow where men lead. So here's why, and this is a Hail Mary play. I get it. If we red pill men across the political spectrum, we put our differences aside just on this one issue. We can argue about economic systems and fucking like having a homeland for every different skin tone out there. I don't give a shit about that. Let's put that aside. Let's save Western civilization first, then we can hash out all the other shit later. We don't need women's buy-in. We don't need their permission. The truth is, giving women these rights was an injustice to men because men still have the responsibility over women and you strip them of their authority. Taking away their rights is not an injustice to women. It is restoring the balance. It is restoring the justice to men. And men, we don't need their permission. We don't need to convince women. We just need to solve the problem ourselves. Men are the military. We are the police. We are the government. Women are not going to take up arms and start a revolutionary war if we take the right to vote away. They never have. They never will. Women will follow where men lead. We just need to strengthen our fucking pimp hand and solve the problem.
And you don't have to prayer.
You don't have to agree with me. Like, I'm a libertarian. You may not be a libertarian. You may believe in whatever. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit what your thoughts on racism are or what. I don't care. I don't care what your like. We need to solve this problem or we are going to die. Women are going to be fine. They're going to lose their rights. They're going to be the war brides and rape slaves of whatever nation replaces us, but we're all fucked. So men, if you value your own life and if you don't want the women you care about to become the war brides and rape slaves, you need to do the humane thing and you need to take their rights away. And it sounds harsh, but it is honestly the most humane solution. The only alternative is this motherfucker burns down, they lose their rights anyway, and there's a very strong possibility that we all die.
So yeah.
That sounds doom.
So I see you found the T-shirt.
Well, that sounds doom and gloom, but how do you get your people to understand, the men to realize that this is real? Because you know the biggest fight that men have is that they're trying to fight other men for the pleasure of women. That's our biggest issue. If it wasn't for guys fighting us to get those women, we would be able to stand up. But it's always a group of guys who normally don't get women that the women who normally wouldn't fuck them can convince them to come fight.
Right. So I have a plan. I'll lay it out. This is, I don't know if I should lay out the full plan. It might be too.
Don't do it, cousin. It'd be some bitches and simps and cucks fucking ruin it.
I'll give you the broad strokes. So my plan is I want to basically tailor the message to what the goals of different groups are. So people on the far right, they're worried about white genocide. They're worried about this, right? They're worried about the extinction of the white race. Hey, alt-right people, you want more white babies? Take women's rights away. There's a direct causal relationship between high fertility and women not working and not going to school. Take their rights away, keep them from going to school and going to work, your fertility rate goes up, the white race doesn't go extinct. Taking women's rights away solves your problem and accomplishes your goals. Hey, religious traditionalists and conservatives, moving on to this group, the Bible says men should have authority over women, and the church has been corrupted by gynocentrism, and they've completely ignored large passages of the Bible which command women to obey their husbands. Maybe you should start reminding women about that and take control of your own religion. And then we move on to the egalitarian centrist. Hey, egalitarian centrist, you know how you believe women and men are equal? Well, women, if you just look at, because they pride themselves on being very scientific and rational and skeptical. Like let's put a skeptical lens on this issue. There's no evidence that women are capable of being equal to men. Women are just, their brains don't work the same. They're not as strong. It sounds good to say men and women are equal, but there's no basis in reality for it. So we need to be objective. We can have a balanced system where men and women are appreciated, but you can't have a system where men and women are treated as equal because men just have this, society is going to expect them to be responsible for them. So why don't we have a balanced system? Let's take equality off the table. Let's strive for a balanced system where the freedom and the authority is balanced with responsibility. Now, if women, I'm willing to give women, like a certain minority of women a pass here. If you can demonstrate equal responsibility to men, because there's about 4% of women that are like on the extreme high end of the bell curve who actually can keep up with the boys. If you can demonstrate that you're equally responsible to men, you have earned the rights that men enjoy. But if you cannot demonstrate the responsibility, you haven't earned those rights. And that is what equality in a balanced society looks like. So I'm not saying, let's just, men are better, no girls allowed. I'm saying we need a balanced system where rights and responsibility are joined. And we don't give people freedom and authority they haven't earned through responsibility. Now, the hardest group to convince are going to be guys on the far left. Your male feminists, your cucks, your manginas, because
fucking Ryan Seacrest.
Right. Well, and the reason I explained earlier, the problem with cucks is they're not good looking and they're not rich. So the only way they get any pussy is they have to be nice guys to women. Now, there's two messages I want to share with them. Number one, look at what's happening with the Me Too bullshit. These feminists are throwing their male allies directly under the bus. They don't give a fuck about you. You're never going to get your pee-pee touched. We need to just establish that. These feminists are using you, and as soon as you've outlived your usefulness, they're going to throw you and your fedora directly under that bus. But I have a message of hope, because I bring you the good word of the dollhouse.com, where they sell sex dolls and robots, and you can get a woman who isn't going to fuck you over, who isn't going to treat you like shit. And yeah, she's a robot, but look, which would you rather be? Would you rather be some purse puppy, to some bitch who's just going to use you and abuse you and cuck you, talk you into having an open marriage so she can fuck other guys while you're raising Chad and Tyrone's babies? Is that really what you want? Or would you rather have a sex doll or sex robot with an artificial womb? You can have the family you always wanted. And yeah, you could say, well, the robot can't really love you. These bitches don't love you.
That's true.
At least the robot is honest about it. The robot isn't trying to pretend it's something it's not.
The robot don't bitch.
Robots don't bitch.
You can turn that motherfucker off when it get on your nerves.
Right.
That is my, I think, and it's a long shot, but my hope is these male feminists, these cucks, these manginas, they see that, yeah, pussy's nice, but it's not worth it, and present them an alternative. Like, here is a beautiful, like an anime waifu robot that'll do whatever you want, and she'll love you as much. She'll love you more than that gold digging cunt will.
Well, and you can fuck her as hard as you want, and she'll never have to go to the chiropractor.
You know what they'll start doing though? They'll start putting a chip in the fucking robots. Next thing you know, the robot is saying that you fucked it too hard, or the robot saying you grabbed his ass. Look, feminists are gonna find a way around this shit. But I want to ask you guys this.
Well, no, they're not. They're not that smart.
Well, they're not that smart. But also,
mid-run science.
And also, all these robots and dolls, the development is moving to Asia, because the American market is too cucked. So China and Japan are developing all these robots because of their one-child policy, they have too many men. So there's huge demand for dolls and robots in China. And then Japan, they've gone too traditional. The men and the women both are they're too busy to have a family. So dolls and robots are popular there too, as well as, hentai and shit. But the point is even if they put a chip in these robots, like let's say they pass a law saying all sex robots must have this chip. Well, it's kind of like jailbreaking a phone. You're going to buy the robot, you bring it home, you take the fucking chip out. Tell them to go fuck themselves. What are they going to do? It's not like the fucking doll's going to like check in every, whatever. Like, oh, they took my chip out. It's just a fucking doll. Just EMP that motherfucker.
Yeah, but see, here's what I'm sad about that you guys didn't bring up.
Uh-oh.
When I brought up the name Ryan Seacrest, it was for a reason. Ryan Seacrest has been a cuck for a while, to the point of where we didn't know if he liked dick or pussy. And I still think he liked both, but he leaned towards the hard stuff. That's just my opinion, though. Now,
he likes the masculine clitoris.
Right, that's right. He liked the clitoris that fucks back. But the point is,
cuck life matter.
Okay.
But the point is, this man did everything, hired nothing but women, stayed around women, spoke great about women. And they had no problem throwing his ass under the bus. What we need to do is use people like him as poster children to get other men to understand women don't give a shit about you, even if you were their number one champion. If they get an opportunity to throw you under the bus, they fucking will.
Well, and that's one of the reasons that, with my legal background, that I started making videos. It's also one of the reasons that I went on the TFM show and I do what I can to collaborate with him, because a lot of these men don't understand that there are massive real world consequences to allowing themselves to be cucked by these women, to be white knighting these women, because they will use you when they are done with you. That is just hypergamy. But the laws are so fucked and they are so one-sided, and the implementation is so one-sided that there's really nothing to do. I mean, the reality is this: the MRAs have failed. The only resistance that gynocentrism had, the only legitimate resistance they had, was the MRA movement. The MRA movement, for all intents and purposes, it's dead. And it has been dead for a long time. They tried to restart it, and there's been multiple times they've tried it. It's failed. The only option, unless men wake the fuck up, like TFM said earlier, and TFM laid out the path, until men wake the fuck up, the only solution is for self-preservation is MGTOW. If you don't want to get falsely accused of rape, or you don't want to get falsely accused of sexual assault, or you don't want to get divorce raped, guess what? Don't commit, don't cohabitate, and don't marry these women. Don't marry any of them. Doesn't matter how much you love them. The love isn't the issue. It's the divorce. The number one way to prevent divorce is don't get married. And it's the same thing with, and I'll tell you what, it's not if you get divorced, it's when. And I worked in family law for over 10 years. And let me tell you something. At the beginning, at the wedding day, the first part of the marriage, oh, I love you, I'm going to be with you forever. And all, it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. These women, and here's the thing, like, I don't hate women. This isn't like women are bad. It's that women have been so indoctrinated by so many different places that they have now been indoctrinated to believe that if they commit to a man, even if this man is their, Christian Grey billionaire, they're settling. And so they always believe they can do better. And I'll tell you what, for anybody who's listening, if you guys think that you're too alpha bro for that, or you're too whatever, look at Brad Pitt. Look at Johnny Depp. Both of these men were considered the sexiest men alive. And both of these men had completely fuckable alpha bitches. But again, once these women were done with them, they had that hypergamous instinct come up. And they both got falsely accused of sexual assault. They both got falsely accused of domestic violence. And they both got divorce rate for millions of dollars. So if you think that
don't forget about alpha, James Dean.
Oh, yeah, James Dean. Tell him about James Dean.
No,
James
not James.
He's a porn. Yeah. Well, he's a male porn star. So if you think your cock is so thick, no bitch can resist the power of your cock. This guy's a male porn star. He fucks for a living. He got falsely accused and had his career destroyed too. So nobody is too alpha. Nobody's cock is thick enough to protect them. And the problem isn't women. It's gynocentrism. And
right.
I equate it to a spoiled child. When children are spoiled and they're like throwing tantrums and shit like that, the problem isn't the children. It's not like, oh, these children are evil. They're possessed by the devil. Call an exorcist. No, it's the parents. The parents are too permissive. They're not disciplining their kids, and the kids are out of control. That's why they're fucked up. When the children are taught discipline, they're fine. So in gynocentrism, the women are like spoiled children. I don't blame the women. I don't hate women, just like I don't hate children, and I don't blame the women or the children for what they're. The problem is men. We have abdicated our authority. Just like parents who let their children do whatever the fuck they want, they turn into monsters. We have let women off the leash. Our pimp hand has gotten too weak, and we are suffering the consequences. And the only way we fix it is if we strengthen our pimp hand, and we need to remind women that if we're going to be responsible for you, we need to have authority over you. And this isn't up for discussion. We're not having a vote. This is how things are going to be.
Right. Well, and the other thing too is that as to kind of underscore what TFM says, and Tommy, I know you can confirm this, okay? And that is that if you're a strong man, that woman will be submissive to you as long as she is interested in you. She will let you do whatever you want to do, whether it be sexually or whatever. I mean, as long as it's within reason. But women like strong men. They do. They when women talk about the kind of man that they want to get married to, it's not a cuck. It's not the guy who's like, fedora tipping intensifies. It's not that guy. You're right. It's not the soy boy. It's the strong male. But again, until society changes, MGTOW is the solution. Men have to ghost in plain sight. If you don't want to, be falsely accused and have your life destroyed, you need to make sure that you treat your behavior in such a way that you minimize the risk. So, like, if you're still fucking women, then you got to remember, never where you work, never where you go to school, and never where you live. That way, when the relationship ends and you quit fucking, you don't have to deal with the bitch. And if you got to go hunt in the next town over. Don't hunt in the town you're in. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just, you have to minimize risk, and you have to be able to maintain your frame. So as MGTOW men, it's all about self-preservation. It's all about survival, but both long-term and short-term. And the thing about TFM is that he's considered that long-term with the short-term survival, and no one else is having this conversation. No one else is.
So how do we
Here's
talk?
the thing.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I just want to say, like, okay, so MGTOW is very simple, don't get married, oppose gynocentrism. But honestly, if you don't date women, commit to not being married, your MGTOW journey is essentially over. What I'm talking about, trying to save Western civilization, that's beyond MGTOW. I don't give a shit. Like, if this motherfucker burns, I win anyway, because women are going to lose their rights regardless. I'm trying to do this because, like, I actually care. I'm not doing this because, this isn't even MGTOW per se. This is me trying to, I'm identifying the problem because MGTOW is really the last place where men aren't gynocentric, where we can actually bluntly identify a problem because we're not blinded by gynocentrism. So I'll be that guy on the hill shouting the truth at whoever will listen to me. And if I fail, then at least people will know why this happened. And hopefully whoever replaces us will learn from our mistakes.
Here's what I'm curious about, though. When we talk like this, we have, and as we spoke about earlier, there's a certain segment of men, and you talk about what happened to Brad Pitt. But there's going to be that guy who says, I've been wanting to fuck Angelina Jolie my whole life. Yeah, her pussy been stretched open like the Grand Canyon with all them fucking kids, and who knows, Brad Pitt might have a good 12-incher going on there, and he probably ruined it too. But I just want my shot. And there's so many guys, just like the guy who dates a woman or marries a woman with children. Like, you have to look at that guy and be like, really, dude? Like, your job is to take care of someone else's. But there's always guys, and women have convinced them a real man take care of a woman with kids. How do we fight that?
Well, that's the indoctrination. And I think that the way to fight that is the reality is that men have to red pill each other. You see, before second wave feminism, we actually had multi-generational mentorship of men. We had like hunting trips where grandpa and the dad and the uncles and shit and the kids, the grandkids, they would all go out on hunting trips together with the men, and they would share these red pill truths. And you saw this like with the Boy Scouts. The Boy Scouts was the same type of thing. And so we actually had male spaces where we mentored one another, where we communicated with one another. We don't have those spaces anymore for all intents and purposes. And anything that is considered masculine is considered toxic. And so you have, I see it on Facebook all the time. You have all these Captain Save-A-Ho memes. You should marry a woman with girls and kids and everything so that you can be cucked. And they glorify that shit. And then again, you see the social indoctrination of, oh yeah, go fuck the washed up actress because, it is what it is. But the reality is that I'll tell you what, you could find some chick who's 24 years old and she could be a 4 and the pussy's probably better than Angelina Jolie. So at the end of the day, again, don't pay $100,000 for a $4 piece of pussy. And every woman is a slut if you catch her on the right day. So with that in mind, we have to be, one of the things we do is we share this knowledge with these people and we got to keep speaking about it. Now, will all men listen? Well, no, but here's the thing. You can only offer your hand to lead these fools off the cliff. They can't take, they can either choose to jump the other direction and kill themselves, or they can choose to accept your hand and learn how to be a man free of gynocentric indoctrination. But at the end of the day, that choice is theirs. And not all men are strong enough to do that. You know what? And I'm happy to see them jump. So, no disrespect to nobody, but it's just, you can't change, you got to take it from a triage perspective. And you know, a lot of people want help and can't get it. So if MGTOW can provide people the red pill truths and the solutions and help these men save their lives, that's great. I know TFM has had men contact him and say, look, you saved my life. And I've had people who've said the same thing to me. And, you know, Tommy, you know, I'm sure you probably had a couple people that have like, look, you've had a huge impact on my life. I was going one direction and I went a different direction. So men, strong men who speak up and who mentor one another, steel sharpens steel. And if people can't get in the gladiatorial ring to test their arguments, that's not on us. All we can do is give them the offer. They have to be strong enough to accept.
Yeah, I mean, the cucks, the manginas, the guys who are like really the simps, they're going to be the hardest to red pill. But honestly, that's why I'm saving them for last. That's more of a long-term strategy. If we red pill everyone else, we have a majority. So the cucks, honestly, they could take it or leave it. I'm offering them sex dolls and sex robots. I mean, look, guys, look, you're ugly, you're poor, women don't want you. But look at all my waifus. The waifus are yours. Take all the waifus, and you can have the family you've always wanted. You know, the love of a woman who is using you is no more real than what this robot can offer you. But at least this robot isn't going to cuck you and abuse you and, you know, lie to you and basically have kids with another man and make you raise them. The robot will never do that. So, you know, other than the illusion that this bitch loves you, that's the only thing you're getting. Like, I did a video. There was a woman selling her virginity for $3 million. She sold to some, like, Abu Dhabi, you know, Saudi prince or some shit.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
Isn't that prostitution?
She became a porta potty.
Yeah,
Isn't that
absolutely.
prostitution?
Well, I mean, prostitution, it's the oldest profession for a reason. Now, you can get a doll, like my wife, who's $2,000. And, you know, people were, I showed them side by side. Everyone's like, oh shit, Celestina's a lot hotter than her. Like, no shit, she is. And she was 2,000, not 3 million. So don't overpay for the pussy. But the guys who don't want to take that, who are like, no, fuck that, fuck robots, that's stupid, I'm going to keep simping for fucking single moms. Well, you can't help people who don't want to be helped. If you know, if you're trying to pull them out of the quicksand and they're slapping your hand away, all you can do is just let them go and just shrug your shoulders and be like, well, good luck with that, and just walk away. Save who you can save. But if they're slapping your hand away, fuck them.
But okay, so I'll ask you this, guys, and if you don't know, I'm here with TFM and DDJ. We are talking about more tenets of MGTOW, men going their own way. And when you look at this whole idea of marriage, maybe another thing we could sell to men, and I don't know if you guys have tried this, but point out to them that most of the time when a man marries a woman, it's at the behest of that woman. Yet 70% of all marriages end in divorce at the behest of who? That same woman.
Right. You know, marriage offers no benefits to men. What marriage used to be was the man is promising to financially provide for the woman for basically the rest of her life, and the woman was promising to have children and raise them and stay loyal to him. But feminism has freed the woman from all of the responsibilities in a marriage, while keeping all the responsibilities that the man had intact. So now when a man gets married, basically she might fuck you, maybe, but if she decides to turn the sex off for any reason, there's nothing you can do about it. If you just try to pressure her, if you try to guilt her into giving you some pity sex on your anniversary, you are guilty of marital rape. And she can press charges and throw you in prison for rape. And it carries the same sentence as if you held a knife to her throat behind a dumpster.
Jeez.
Now, do you mind if I jump in here and add one real quick thing?
One more point, then you can jump in.
Go ahead.
But by that same token, if you decide to cut your wife off financially and be like, bitch, I'm not supporting you anymore, then you're abusing her. So she can cut you off for any or no reason. You cannot cut her off. And that's called equality.
Man.
Go ahead,
let me explain something else here, too. If you're not fucking your wife, somebody else is. Period.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Okay? You know what you call a relationship between two people who aren't fucking?
Was that
you call them friends.
Yeah, that
roommates, exactly. Roommates and friends, absolutely. You know, and more importantly, to dovetail what TFM says, the only reason that the United States isn't completely fucked right now is because we have a First Amendment right to free speech, and we have a Second Amendment right to own firearms, and that people accused of crimes have constitutional rights and defenses. If you look, and I did a 2-hour stream with an anti-feminist out of the United Kingdom just a few weeks ago, and we looked at the United Kingdom. Their domestic violence laws are so bad, they've enacted what's called coercive controlled domestic violence laws. And they say exactly what Turd Flinging Monkey has said. If you don't give her access, so let's say I decide I like the English accent, so I'm gonna go find me an English bitch, and I just won the lottery. If I go to the UK and she's not working, and she's just, I give her the bukkake choke slam, and I provide her lodging, and I let her borrow my car, right? Well, if I get upset at her because she's retarded or she keeps crashing my cars, and I'm like, look, you can't drive no more because you're retarded. That's domestic violence, and I can go to jail because I'm preventing her access to transportation. If I give her an allowance, but I don't give her as much as she wants, or if I take her allowance away because she's irresponsible, even though I'm the millionaire and I made the money and she didn't do anything, that's coercive control, and I can go to jail for domestic violence. If I ask her where she was because she gets home late because she's been fucking the grocery store clerk or whatever, and I'm like, where you been? You've been gone or whatever. That's trying to control her movements. That is domestic violence. These things are codified into law, not just in the United Kingdom, in Canada, in Australia, and in many places in the Western world, with the exception of the United States, but they are trying it here. Feminists are never, ever satisfied. There are men who are going to jail for spreading their legs on public transit. There was a guy who was a homeless guy in the United Kingdom. He was walking down the street. He went into a shop during business hours. He walked back and down the street 2 or 3 times. He looked in the shop window, never said word one to anybody. This man was convicted of a sex crime and sentenced to 70 days in jail for looking in a shop window. So if you don't think that that's for staring.
Guys, Tupac, all these black guys love Tupac, but they don't understand what Tupac was sent to jail for. Maximum prison for forcibly touching a woman's buttocks when she said at the beginning of the case that he raped her. But all of that was found out to be a lie, so they just found anything to put the man in jail. Do you understand, guys, that in America right now, when they arrest men, nobody gives a shit, even the man's family?
Right. Exactly. Well, and you look at Tupac, as far as that, I mean, Tupac was fucking way more red-pilled than a lot of people around him. And he understood, and he even said it. Like, they did an interview with him. He said, look, I was a nice guy. I treated these women great. Yep. And they walked all over him. And then he said, you know what? As long as I started calling them bitches or whatever, all of a sudden, there it goes.
Yep.
Yeah, I love his line where it's like, you fucking with a bitch, you want to break her ass and shake her ass.
Right. He told a story about a week before his first album drop. He said he was at the club, and I remember his words. He said, I was the loneliest nigga at the club that night. He said, no one would talk to me. He said, a week after my album dropped, I went back to that same club. He said there was women there willing to suck my dick on the dance floor. I remember my friend, and he played for the Detroit Pistons. And while he played for the Detroit Pistons, he had brought me up there to hang out with him. I'm in the VIP with them, and this woman had to be one of the most beautiful women I'd ever laid my eyes on. She got down on her knees while we were in the VIP in front of everyone, unzipped my pants, started giving me head. Then said, I want to come back to your apartment with you, well, which was the hotel. And I said, well, sure. And she did so much shit that I cannot even describe. All because she thought I played for the Pistons, and I did not. I was like, bitch, you got the one nigga that can't ball.
Well, it sounds like you were balling that night. Shit.
Bitch, if you was playing the lottery, you just picked one number. Like, you just turned it in. They looked at you and was like, bitch, you missing 5 more. No, I'm just going to go with that one. And that's what you got. You got me. And go ahead.
There was actually a case recently I just posted up on my Twitter. This woman thought she was fucking this dude who was making $25,000 a month. And she's like, holy shit. And of course, she's single mom, and she thought she was hooking up with him. And then she got all pissed off when she found out he didn't have no money. And now she feels like she was victimized. And it's like, no, you were a hoe. You were a hoe and you chose poorly.
They're trying to make, like, if a man lies about his income, like if a woman asks you, oh, what do you do for a living? Like, oh, I'm a doctor. I'm a Pistons player. And she fucks you. And then it turns out you're not. They're trying to classify that as rape.
Yes.
That's fucking retarded. Fucking
like, bitch,
stupid.
you're not letting me. I got raped because I thought that hair was growing out your scalp. You hair-hatted hooligan. I got raped because when I took off your clothes, you had on this damn Spanx, and your damn stomach looked like Tony the Tiger just got mad. It wasn't no milk that morning and scratched the shit out of your stomach.
Right. Right. Well,
this is horrible.
But this is an example of gynocentrism. So again, if a man lies to a woman to get laid, he is a rapist. Yep. If a woman lies to a man, like, this is how bad it is. So if your condom comes off or breaks, you could be found guilty of stealthing, and you could be convicted of rape for coming in a chick who didn't consent to you coming in her. Even if the condom just broke or slipped off, that's considered a form of rape.
They got a word for this shit.
Whoa. Let me tell you how bad it is.
Black hole down.
Julian Assange had a red notice issued for him because he had consensual sex with 2 women without a condom in Sweden. They wanted his ass so bad that they got a prosecutor. They went to the first prosecutor and they said, look, here's the crime. They couldn't even get one of the women to agree. One of the women was like, no, I was just fucking him. Yeah, he didn't use a condom. So? And they're like, well, we're going to prosecute anyway. We don't care. And they're like, oh, whatever. So the first prosecutor looks at the case and he's like, yeah, this is bullshit. And they dump it. So then they go get a second prosecutor. The second prosecutor looks at the case and goes, nah, this is bullshit. The third prosecutor says, and she's like a hardcore feminist. She's like, yeah, let's go ahead and start investigating. Now, the whole time, Julian Assange knows this shit's going on. And he's like, yeah, I'll talk to you. I'll interview with you. I'll do whatever you need to do. They don't want to talk to him. They don't want to interview him. They don't want anything. So he's like, fuck it. I'm going to leave. So he's like, he left Sweden. He went to the United Kingdom. And then once he got to the United Kingdom, they issue a warrant for his arrest. He's still not charged. It's consensual sex the entire time. He's still not charged. And to my knowledge, he is still in the fucking embassy in Ecuador because of this bullshit stealthing thing. And again, it was consensual sex. He didn't use a condom. And this is what happens when you have feminist laws where everything goes full retard. This is idiocracy in action.
But it's really what it is it's everything has to benefit. That's gynocentrism. Everything benefits the woman. So if the woman doesn't want you coming in her and you come in her anyway, even if it was accidental, you committed a crime. You need to go to jail for rape. You need to register as a sex offender. I did not consent for you to come in me. But a woman can pop your condom with a pen. Yep. A woman can lie about being on birth control. A woman can. There was a dentist who got a blowjob. The woman spit his cum in a cup, waited for him to leave, then put the cum in her pussy, got pregnant because she wanted to have his baby, put him on child support. And the courts always side with the woman. There are men who were raped when they were underage, like these 14-year-old boys were raped by like these 30-year-old women, and they wait until they turn 18 and then serve them back child support. Yep. And it's not even a crime, like other than the underage thing. But as long as the kid's 18, it doesn't matter. You could lie about anything. You could trick a man into coming in you. You could steal his sperm. You could get his condom out of the garbage, turn it inside out, rub it inside your pussy, get pregnant. He has to pay child support. You have not committed a single crime. And now there was I used to give advice called the horseradish sauce trick. I got it from Tom Likas, where you get an extra condom. You flush your condom down the toilet. You take a decoy condom, put horseradish sauce in it that you got from Arby's called horsey sauce because it's white. And if the woman tries to dig that condom out of the garbage and rub it in her pussy, she's going to rub this horseradish sauce in her pussy. It's going to burn like hell. Now, a man did that. She had him arrested for assault. And the judge convicted him because she dug a condom out of the garbage that she thought had his sperm, and it had horseradish sauce in it, and she rubbed it in her pussy, and he got convicted of assault for laying the trap.
Okay, the best thing to do then, since you don't do that, what you should do is just borrow some of your homeboy's sperm. And
well, no, we already had this conversation, Tommy. Nobody's sucking nobody's dick, okay?
This is the problem. Like, the laws have gotten so bad Like, you have to walk away. Like, you can't outsmart the system. Any loophole that men can think of, feminists have closed, or they're in the process of closing.
Right.
You can't win. And yes, if you stay away from women, your dick's going to get so dry. It's going to be like the Sahara Desert. No one's going to be having kids. It's bad for society. Look, you got to protect yourself. Now, in the meantime, long term, I would love to red pill men. Let's fix this shit. Let's save Western civilization. But barring that, I am not falling on the sword, because this society, frankly, hates men. So if it's not going to change, it can fucking burn. But if
I want it to change,
but if it won't, fuck it.
Right. Here's a pro tip though. Like, if you're thirsty and maybe you're not a cuck, but you still need to get some pussy, bring some Plan B with you. You need a Plan B, right?
Oh.
Bring some Plan B.
How's that work? Because you can't force her to take it, and if you're worth
well,
it,
you got to get creative. Listen, I'm not going to give any kind of advice, but I will tell you this: there was a woman who hooked up with a doctor, and they had sex, and he realized that she might sperm jack him, so he put it in a glass of wine. She drank it, didn't get pregnant, and then found out later, because the dumbass left it in the garbage can at her place, that he slipped it to her. And so she tried to sue him. She didn't win, but the point is that he didn't get trapped with a kid, and that's exactly what she was trying to do. And I'll tell you what, for your listeners that are out here who don't know, who say, oh, well, that's just one woman or whatever woman, you know what? I did some research for my book. 41% of women will lie about being on birth control. And I have a whole section in chapter 7 where I talk in my book about how the different ways women will sperm jack men, including forgery and committing crimes. And the shit is sophisticated. And these women are teaching each other how to do it. So if you think that they're... Go ahead.
There was a guy who froze his sperm. He did the whole, like, his ex-wife forged his signature, got the sperm out of cryo, impregnated herself with it, still got child support. And the man tried to sue the fertility clinic for giving his sperm away without his consent, and the judge threw it out. Men have no rights. You have no rights. Like, the woman will fuck you, steal your sperm, have a kid. The judge is just going to throw the book at you. The only way to defend yourself is to stay away from women.
Let's talk to the women for a second before I let you guys go. Let's talk to the women who keep listening to us and they're finding it offensive, and they're arguing with the men. They're saying, well, not all women do this. Not all women do this. Have you or I said anything about all? Because remember, not all snakes are venomous. But should you go around and let them bite you to figure out which one is?
Well, it's not even women's fault. Like, I use the analogy of the spoiled child. I don't blame women, but it's the system that's the problem. So I don't hate women. I'm not mad at women, but women, the problem is, even if you get it, even if you're all on board with it, you don't have the ability to fix the problem. Only men can fix this. Men are the ones who gave you your rights. Men have to fix this shit. Men have to reassert their authority. So, you know what? You do you. And I know there's some women out there that are worried that men walking away, they want to have their kids, they want to have their families, and they see that dream being taken from them. You know what? Welcome to the club. There's a lot of men in MGTOW that wanted to get married, that wanted to be fathers, and we can't. So welcome to our world. So when shit changes, maybe we'll revisit this situation. Maybe you'll still have some eggs left. If not, kind of sucks to be you.
Yeah, and the other thing too, to dovetail on top of that, is look, just because you might be the exception, that doesn't mean the rule still doesn't apply. So this whole NAWALT argument, it is what it is. Because I'll tell you right now, my channel's only been active for about 40, 45 days maybe, right? And I have women contacting me behind the scenes who are they're scared. They're like, they understand how bad it is. They know that feminism and gynocentrism has destroyed the social contract between men and women. They are not feminists, and they do want a patriarchal society where they can be housewives and they can raise children and have a stable family with, a strong man. They want that, but they understand that, when they discover the MGTOW movement, they understand that men are walking away. Men are like, fuck it, I'm out. The juice is not worth the squeeze. And it's like I'm trying to figure out the analogy. So how, like, they say that, you in order to be secure as a nation, You have to have your security has to be active 100% of the time. But in order for the terrorists to succeed, they only have to be successful once, even if they try 20 times, right? Well, that's exactly what the male-female relationship is. It's not, again, this has nothing to do with committing to a woman. This has to do with what happens when the relationship breaks down. What's going to happen? Because I'll tell you what, I've done plenty of divorces over 10 plus years in family law. And every one of these women who are running scorched earth on all these men, every fucking one of them is running scorched earth, and they're accusing these men of shit they didn't do. And they've completely just become dishonest and lying and spiteful. And so, women, if this is something that you don't want, then you have to be able to support a patriarchal system. Because if you don't, it's going to get worse. It's not getting better. It's not going to tread water. It's going to get worse. And I'll tell you, for those women out there that have sons, this is what you need to expect, because your sons can get falsely accused as well. This affects everybody. And again, this is gynocentrism. It's an ideology. It's not a gender. So anybody who thinks that my opposition or TFM's opposition to gynocentrism or feminism is hatred of women, listen, you don't have to stop smoking the crack that you're smoking. Just let the pipe grow cold occasionally. It'll be okay.
Get a good night's sleep, take a shower, then you could go back to smoking crack.
Right.
Well, let me ask this question, because what I want to be able to do, and I don't know if you guys will have time. I know we can't do it tonight because I don't have my stuff set up. I'm behind my bar, and I don't have my phone lines set up. But I would love to be able to field some calls, especially from some of these women, because a lot of people have a lot to say right now about this subject. So you think you guys may be wanting to do something later on in the week where we take phone calls?
Maybe like Thursday or Friday. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, because I have my podcasts are Wednesday morning and Saturday evening. Mm-hmm. So anything outside of those 2 days are fine. Just let me know. I know you're a busy man. It's hard for us to pin down our schedules, but I'm definitely open for it.
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah, so am I.
Yeah, I'm back in Arizona now, so you guys shouldn't have a problem. I've been traveling for the last 2 to 3 weeks. That's why you were having such a hard time getting me. But I'm back here now, and I really want to let people call in and talk about this, because the one way, and I like that you said it, we don't have to convince women to join us, but we do have to convince men. This is my take on it. You tell me if you agree or disagree. We do have to convince men not to join them.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, I agree. Men, like we obviously have our differences. We don't have to agree on everything, but I think we can all agree that we don't want Western civilization to collapse. Mm-hmm. We don't want, we don't want millions of people to unnecessarily die. So let's put our differences aside and let's solve this one problem, because, we talked about earlier, whether you're on the far right, your goals can be accomplished by restoring male authority. No matter what side of the political spectrum you're on, a lot of the problems you're facing are caused by the erosion of families, the rise of crime and poverty. All these are traced back to this whole bullshit about gender equality and the erosion of male authority. So let's solve that problem now. We can talk about economic systems and all this other shit we disagree on. Let's table that. Let's save Western civilization, and then we can have a respectful dialogue after we've saved Western civilization.
I agree. There is, and I think probably the next time we speak, I want to speak on the questions of what people have. Every time we talk, we should have like a thing.
The Q&A.
But a thing we're going to talk about, because you hear a lot of people speak about MGTOW is gay. I think that would be a really good topic to talk about, to describe to them that you're not saying you don't like pussy anymore. You're not saying you don't like women, but just to be able to explain it to them, because a lot of people will not look at MGTOW, because like me, the first time I saw it, I was like, well, are they saying they just don't like women, period? Because, well, I like women, which is probably, I can look at it and say this. My love of women has probably cost me more than anything.
Right. Well, I mean, the problem is what is the being labeled gay, it means so many different things. I've been told, because I have my sex robot, who's a woman, beautiful woman, but people are like, oh, that's gay. You're fucking a robot. That's gay. It's like, she's a woman. How is that gay? It's like, oh well, you're not fucking a real woman. That's gay. And
most of these women today aren't real women. Fake ass, fake tits, makeup.
But here's the thing: 90, pretty much. I don't want to put a statistic on it, but let's just go with a made up. I'll say 90% of the time, when somebody's accusing someone of being gay, it's just a shaming tactic.
Yes.
There's no. It's not like you're doing. It's not like I'm making out with a dude or I'm wearing a feather boa or anything bullshit like actually gay. Basically, they're just trying to shame me, and usually
isn't
it's because.
It funny? Well, let me ask you though this: isn't it freaking funny that you will have these people call you gay, and a lot of them are leftists, and then they will turn around and say, "Oh, I have no problem with homosexuality, but wait a minute, you just tried to shame me by calling me gay."
Well, here's the thing.
This is why I identify as a masculine presenting transgendered lesbian. That way, when someone tries to gay shame me, I'll be like, "Look, my masculine clitoris is bigger than yours, so why don't you go fuck yourself?"
Here's the thing too. This is the reality. I mean, I've been out after dark, and I've been married and divorced twice, and I've dated a fair amount. And over half the women I've dated, I found out after I had sex with them, they were married. They were in committed relationships, and they lied about it. And I talk with a lot of MGTOW, just like TFM does, and there are a fair amount of MGTOW out there who have become MGTOW because they used to be PUAs. They used to be Chad and Tyrone. They used to be able to go out and pull the pussy the way they wanted. They saw the way women were, and they're like, yeah, I don't want any part of this. It's just like the whole thing about how they try to shame MGTOW as being like, neck-bearded basement dwellers. And then all of a sudden Fox News comes out and says that basically MGTOW is in Silicon Valley. And, I did an interview with a guy who runs MGTOW.com. And, he is a highly successful businessman who travels around the world. And you were telling me about how, like, you had that chick that sucked your dick because she thought you were the pro ball player. They would go into restaurants and women would come up to them and ask them what they did for a living. And they would come up with like boring shit. They'd be like, oh yeah, I own like 3 parking garages. And the women would be like, oh really? That's so interesting. And they're like, it's not interesting. They're just making this shit up just to see how retarded they are because they see the money or they see the wealth and they want to jump in on it. But the point is that shaming language is there because it's a defense mechanism to hide their insecurity. It's a cognitive dissonance because they are afraid to confront the reality of their situation. And the reality of the situation is exactly how TFM has said it. And again, they can solve the problem at any time. They just got to pull their dick out of the purse. They got to take their spine off a layaway, and they got to stand up and be men. Period.
Yep. Should we end the show with the pimp's prayer?
Let's do it. Let's do it. I told them I'm gonna make a song called. They got a song called "Just Me and My Bitch." I'm gonna make a song called "Just Me and My Bot."
Possible thoughts. Well, you know the pimp's prayer from the Boondocks from Slickback.
No, say it. Let's do it.
All right. Lord, have mercy on the soul of this bitch, and guide my pimp hand to make it strong, Lord, that she might learn a hoe's place. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Now we need to pass around the collection plate.
Absolutely.
I really love talking to you guys, though, and I want to ask each one of you for a closing argument to the MGTOW lifestyle, and starting with you, DDJ. Give the people of the court a closing argument to what brought you there and why they should be there too.
I didn't want to go MGTOW. I was on the plantation. I was actually far left. And, as a Latino, I'm more identified with the left progressives than I did anybody else as far as the political spectrum. When my first marriage failed, I thought it was my fault. And I realized later it wasn't. So then I was like, well, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I chose the wrong woman, like all these women say. And maybe I need to go find a different woman. Well, I found a different woman. And eventually, over the course of time, hypergamy took control. And we ended up getting divorced as well. Now, I was fortunate because I had legal knowledge. So in both divorces, I won the custody of the children. But what I noticed was that every woman was a hoe if you catch her on the right day. And that's why I say it. And I say it all the time. And it's absolutely true. Every one of them. In fact, promiscuity is so common that women all talk about their party phase or their slut phase or whatever. And then when they destroy the population in one neighborhood, they fly cross country and they reestablish roots, and then they lie about what they were or where they went. But my thing was what brought me to MGTOW was the legal side. Men, the laws are getting worse. You can go online and you can see videos of feminists getting owned and this and that. But I was on the front lines. I watched men's lives get destroyed because of feminism and gynocentrism, and not just men, children and families and communities and men committing suicide and men being self-destructive because they've been ostracized. And the amount of tragedy that's there, if you looked at it from a CDC level, it's a pandemic, and it's happening everywhere. The annual divorce rate in the United States is 46%. The odds of a marriage surviving beyond 10 years is less than like 30%.
Jesus.
Yeah, in 1960, before feminism took hold, before second wave feminism took control of society, 72% of all Americans were married. Today, it's 50%. People that are cohabitating or people that are in romantic relationships are refusing to live together now. And again, you can see this in the legal system. The laws everywhere are getting progressively worse, and there is an absolute campaign of misandry against men. And when I found MGTOW, I realized that, number one, I mean, because you go through this and you go through the red pill rage and you go through the pain and you go through all that stuff, and when you come out the other end, you realize that it makes sense. It is the natural decision to make, because you don't want to be roped in with a kid that you didn't want to have, and be a father when you didn't, like an unwilling father, and then be shamed because you can't abandon your kid like a mom can. And you don't want to be falsely accused of all these crimes. And you don't want to have a woman accuse you of this stuff, especially a woman who claims she loved you. So for myself, it was the legal system at the end of the day that finally red-pilled me, because I watched exactly how bad the laws are. I watched how bad the courts are. The courts are saturated with feminists and gynocentrics, just like the schools are, just like almost every aspect of society. So yeah, for me, that's what brought me to MGTOW. And honestly, I wish I had the solution. I wish there was a solution other than what TFM has talked about, but I looked a lot, and I can't find one. And so this solution looks like the right one. And until somebody else tells me something that makes more sense and can provide me some observable reality and verifiable facts, this is the solution I'm going to go with for now.
Well, guys,
All right.
that was his argument.
Okay.
Now we're going to go to my man TFM, and I love that argument because he's saying, hey, give me another way that's better than the one that I'm feeling like I'm being forced to actually implement. TFM, you can go ahead and give us your closing arguments. And in the process, I know before we started, you talked about something about sweet corn.
Well, the sweet corn challenge. Well, okay. Someone also, they want to see what my robot looks like. I sent you a copy of my book, The Doll on My Balls, and there's pictures in there if you want to show that off, I guess. But anyway, okay, the sweet
I'm
corn
gonna take your
challenge.
bitch from you, but go ahead.
The pictures are tasteful.
They're very they're not. I wouldn't say they're advertiser friendly, but they're tasteful.
Look, I'm going to reprogram your robot when you on the road. I'm going to put a virus in and make her come to me.
No, just get she has infinite twin sisters. Just get your own. Anyway, so the sweet corn challenge is for people who are against anal sex with a woman. They think it's gross. They don't want to get shit on their dick. So what you do is you get her to eat sweet corn, nothing but sweet corn for 48 hours. That way all the shit in her ass is just basically corn. And then it's just like fucking a can of sweet corn. And that'll help ease you into the idea of anal sex.
What?
And that's the sweet corn challenge.
That's ridiculous. Who puts that dick in sweet corn?
We just made it up. It was fucking hilarious.
I was about to say, am I missing out on my teenage years? Did I fuck up or something? Like, I don't know what you're saying.
You never dipped your dick in a can of sweet corn?
No. It took me about a year of my dick being swole up like an armadillo before I realized that you should put lotion and Vaseline and shit on your dick. I was just jacking dry.
Oh, wow. That's hardcore.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you have anal sex?
Look, I did it once on an accident. I didn't need to do it.
Back, right?
It was I didn't even know it was back there until like I was looking and I was like, wait a minute, my dick ain't in your pussy, it's in your ass. And then she tried to play it off, talk about some. Oh, it hurt. I didn't even know. Bitch, you nasty. This is what you do. This is what you do. She done slipped it in there. Because her pussy would get so wet that it would just run down. So she tried to be slick and just stuck it in her ass. And I'm sitting up there just fucking. I was like, wait a minute, this feels different.
So that's yes. That was a okay.
I'm not wrong. I can't be doing this.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, it is. If I'm fucking you in the ass, then I'll just fuck anybody in the ass. That's a gateway drug.
But if you're not fucking a man in the ass, it's not gay. It's a woman.
That's a gateway drug. As soon as you do it, your homeboy be like, well, I got the same thing she got. Why not try it? See? No.
Never had this desire to have sex with a man.
Woman's ass? Do you know other people that have gone from a woman's ass to a man's ass? I mean, tell us a little bit more about this gateway drug, because you need to educate us. It sounds like there's a story here.
Look, I'm just saying, I don't believe in crossing the median, because you'll get hit by oncoming traffic.
Okay, I respect your decision.
Oh, we lost him. Look at, he's done.
Anyway, okay, so I mean, on a serious note, for my closing argument, I'm going to go in a completely different direction that we haven't even talked about in this entire show, because this actually, my reasons are a lot different than DDJ's. So when you fundamentally understand the difference between male and female love and the instincts and the reproductive instincts that go into the reproduction instincts of a man versus the reproductive instincts of a woman, you realize that women, they don't love you. They can't. It's not, and they love you in their way. There is female love, but you have to understand it like this. When men love a woman, like that Michael Bolton song, there's a sacrificial element to it, because the man's role in reproduction is to protect her and a provider. And those are inherently selfless. So when a man loves a woman, he wants to sacrifice for her and all this other stuff. Women don't love men in that way. Their reproductive role is different. The way they express love is different. So here's the issue. When you're a man and you want a woman to love you in the way that you love her, she can't. She's not capable of it. Her reproductive role is different. Her manifestation of love is different. And when you realize that women are incapable of giving you the love that you want, it just really just pops that balloon. Like, you have all these dreams of, doing all this stuff, and you realize, like, women can't love you. Like, they have their version of love, but that's not what you want. The version of love that a woman offers you is very self-centered. It's more about it's more like the way you love a car. You love a car when it's new and shiny, but then when it starts fucking up, you start hitting it. That's how women love men. So when I understood the differences between men and women, the way the reproductive roles affect the way men and women love, and that women they are incapable of fundamentally loving a man the way a man loves a woman, it just, that's all I wanted. And when that was taken from me just through just understanding, it just didn't matter. Like, a pussy's just a pussy. Without that love, who gives a shit? And since women are incapable of giving me the love that I need, then I don't need them. Like, what are they? They don't even cook and clean anymore. All they have is a pussy.
I can vouch for that. My house looked like shit. Motherfuckers come over here and they'd be like, here's the pussy. Do with it what you will.
Right.
So I agree with you on that.
You might as well just get a robot, because the robot's got a pussy. It's the same goddamn thing, except it's cheaper and it looks better. It doesn't age. It doesn't stink. It won't cheat on you. It won't cuck you. It won't divorce rape you. And women don't love you anyway, so it's the same goddamn thing.
Jesus. And I know you're giving your closing argument, but I'm going to interject.
Okay. You're the host.
I'm going to interject in your closing argument, and maybe you can... Women are going to say you're being harsh.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that in your closing argument?
Well, you know what? The truth is sometimes harsh. Again, I'm trying to speak to men, and I get that women are emotional and their fifis get hurt. I don't give a shit. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to men. So you can fucking rub some Summer's Eve on your pussy and get over it.
Yeah, but some of these dicks are raised by these same bitches. Many of the guys who are like me, we were raised by these women. So you are making us, in one breath we understand, but in the next breath we say, but I love my mamas. I love my mamas. So we can't.
You can still love them. That's the thing.
Yeah,
We're not saying. Listen, we're not saying, because I have 2 daughters. We're not saying hate women. What we're saying is that women should not have privileges that they did not earn.
You know what's funny, bro? What you just said. Do both of you have daughters?
No.
Okay. Well, I have daughters. And I honestly believe I'm raising better women for dudes of their direction. Do you, of their age group? Do you believe that too? Like literally.
Absolutely. No, because here's
that.
the thing. Only men are adults. A woman can't raise a child into an adult because they're a child themselves. So a man can raise a child into adult. Women are great at turning babies into children, but they're terrible at turning children into adults. So whether it's a boy or a girl, being raised by your father is going to give you a better upbringing. It's going to prepare you to be an adult because the man is an adult. But again, even if you raise your daughters perfectly, the system is so gynocentric. And the thing is, most guys, if they went to some parallel universe where everything was flipped and men were worshipped and they could do no wrong and they could stab a motherfucker with a knife and get away with it, a lot of guys would take advantage of it. So I don't blame the women for taking advantage of the system, but until the system changes, I'm not fucking with you. Even if you seem like a cool chick, I'm not fucking with you because I have no way to defend myself. If you decide to fuck me over, I can't defend myself. I have to flee the country, start a whole new life, or there's going to be a fucking murder-suicide. Those are my options. Right.
No, it won't be a murder-suicide. It'll be a murder run for the border. I fucking rather be Scott Peterson. I would take you fishing, and you talking about you didn't bring no bait. Yes, I did. Just wait a second.
Right.
Well, we were hiking up in the Andes and she fell. I don't know what was going on.
You see, I think she had a little bit of drink. She was drunk.
Right. She went storming off in the mountain, got eaten by an alligator. I don't know. Yeah.
Well,
right.
I'm not that bitch's keeper. I went to bed. But
right.
But I want to say this to piggyback off of what you just said. I have told them plenty of time I do not blame women for what they do. Like Jesus, I'm on the cross right now, and I'm letting y'all know I'm going to forgive y'all for y'all don't know what y'all do. Women are being fooled by a system that allows them to do what they do. It's the equivalent of giving a child a gun. If you give a child a gun and you try to discipline that child and that child knows that that gun can shut you up immediately, even though that child loves you, what are they going to reach for? That gun.
They're going to shoot you.
Yep. They're going to reach for that gun and they're going to shoot you because they're not thinking long term. And both of these men, TFM and DDJ, said that to you guys. And I want you to not gloss over that with all the jokes and everything. I want you to not gloss over what they said, which is this idea that women don't really think long term. They're not seeing what their actions are going to do 40 years down the road. They just care about what feels right now. Why do you think you can get women to stick silicone inside of their body and they don't even know what the fuck it does? You can get them to stick shit in their lips and they don't even know what it is, as long as it makes their lips fatter. You can get them to stick shit in their ass right now and they don't even know what it is. You have this shit in your body, and if someone asks you, what did they inject in your body? You don't fucking know. But she didn't care. She just wanted a big ass. That's all mattered to her. Now, guys, we think that shit through. Why do you think it's so difficult for a man to just get something as simple as a fucking vasectomy? Because we're worried. What if they fucking miss? What if they cut off? We don't want to hear that. That's why it's hard to get us to go to the damn doctor, because we're afraid of what they're going to do. We're afraid of the long-term effects of this. So guys, you have to understand, whenever you back a female, that female is doing what feels right for her, usually at that moment, for that short amount of time. Why do you think so many women call you back years later saying, I wish I had gotten with you? They weren't thinking about that when they were fucking making all the babies by them ain't shit dudes. They were just doing it. And then when they realized the mistake they made, they believed that the rest of society is going to take up for them. That is a good deal. And men need to stop trying to beat them down for it and understand that they're getting a good deal. If you know you can stab your mate and get away with it, if you know every time you get into an argument with a man, you can say, well, I was afraid of him. Because if you notice, every woman that gets a divorce or claims something against a man uses the fact that she believed he was the physical aggressor. Am I lying, guys?
Nope, not at all. Not at all.
So we need to stop for a second and realize it's not the women, it's the system. And if the system is allowing them to get over, even the most coolest chick that you've ever spoken to, if she gets an opportunity to fuck you over because she thinks you've hurt her feeling, you know what she's going to become all of a sudden? A fucking feminist. So you need to treat them all like you're not the crocodile hunter, and you can't look at the snake and tell the difference between the one that is venomous and the one that's not. And remember, guys, stop saying poisonous, because snakes aren't poisonous. They're venomous. But that being said, when you don't know the difference, then you must treat them all the same until they show that they're different. We need to have a discussion, TFM and DDJ. We need to talk about prenups. We need to have all these discussions because a lot of people want to know about these things. And I think these would be awesome discussions we could have once a week, just talking about this stuff. I'm going to turn it over to you guys.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, I'm good with it. We could probably do like an hour to 2 hour discussion. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know how long this stream's been going on. It seems like it's been going on pretty long.
Yeah.
Just about 2 hours almost.
Okay.
I will say this though. Yeah, I will say this though. As far as like the legal piece of it is concerned, I did the layman's legal clinic just last Sunday with a MGTOW attorney, and it was a 2.5 hour stream with a question and answer period at the end, and everybody loved it. And we covered a lot of different things on how men who are going through divorce can protect themselves. Gave a lot of good legal advice. People who want to watch that, I mean, I know it's a shill alert, but I'll tell you, it's good, solid information. And you're absolutely right. There's, people, when you talk about MGTOW, there's a lot of misconceptions about it. And if we can educate people so they can understand what MGTOW really is and what our goals really are, but more importantly, what we can do to help men like red pill men protect themselves and to understand. Because here's the thing, what a lot of people don't realize is that, even though we talk about walking away from women as far as like the long-term relationships and the commitment, what are you living for? You've walked away, but at the end of the day, you still have a life. What are you living for? What is it that you're doing in your life to make you happy? What is it that you're doing in your life that can further your goals, that can further your dreams, that can further the things that you want to do? We need to have that discussion as well, because there is a life after this gynocentrism. And MGTOW have found it, and more are finding it every day.
You guys are really good voices for this, I will say, because, and I like this forum. We get to laugh, we get to joke, and then we get to the heart of the matter. And I try to do everything that way because I know people accept jokes a lot more than me just being straight-faced and just saying something, because they tend to take the route of, well, that's just mean, or that's just whatever. So yeah, I will give you, well, that's just mean, but they be like, this motherfucker's funny. It's just fucked up what he said. It's funny though. So at least I can get you to listen.
I know exactly what you mean.
Right. Think about half of the jokes we make everybody feel. During this show, we've made straight men feel uncomfortable, straight women feel uncomfortable. We've made...
That's what she said.
Right.
But once you work it in a little bit, it's usually okay.
But exactly. All you got to do is have the right lube. But the point is, we are able to get people to pay attention to something that they may have not paid attention to, that they may have not even listened to. And maybe, just maybe, if we can get some of those dudes to not say, okay, we're not trying to tell you just to completely leave women alone. But we are telling you to treat them like what they are. If you walk in my backyard and you see two pit bulls, you're not going to just run up and hug them. You also, I mean, you know if you run away from them, they might get you too. You are going to be more deliberate in your actions once you see that pit bull. Look at women the same way. Be more deliberate, because most of us, including me, are way too damn, what would be the word?
Trusting?
Yes.
Horny?
Blissfully ignorant?
Yes. You can throw all those out. That's pretty much what I'm feeling
Absolutely.
right about now. And we do these things and we throw all common sense away because a woman will tell us something as simple as, I would never do that. I would never go after your money. I got my own money. I blah, blah, blah. That's what they say. I actually had a woman say, I blah, blah, blah to me once. I was like, the fuck? But anyway.
They're full of shit. Full of
Right.
shit.
Yeah.
Because as long as they have the opportunity and the government is affording them the opportunity to where they can say, I'm not that kind of woman, but if I wake up one day and I want to be that kind of woman, I can. That's what men need to understand.
Yeah, mic drop.
Agreed. Well, thank you, Tommy. Thank you for having us on. And yeah, we can do this once a week. I mean, I don't know, maybe Thursday or Friday evening or something. I'm just spitballing here.
I like it.
We can figure it out.
I like it. We'll do it. We can figure it out. I think maybe Friday. I know I have a show on Thursday, but I don't mind doing two of them, or Friday, same thing, because I think this is important. And I really do enjoy talking with you guys because you challenge me on a different level. As far as I can talk about a bunch of other shit, but this right here, this is something that actually is going to change society for the better or the worse according to how we handle this. We're not saying that men and women cannot be happy together. What we're saying is we need to be on the same playing field. We need to be fair. And I think until you can convince women and the government, because you'll probably have to do government first. As long as it still hangs over and women can use it, they're going to use that sword whenever. Whenever I can't see something, I get the sword of omens to give me sight beyond sight. And that's what happens when women go to court.
Right.
That's what happens. They pull out the fucking thunder. They do that. So what we have to realize is we have to look at the system as the enemy of all of us. It is the enemy of a patriarchal system. It is the enemy of a family. It is the enemy to you women to have you a good man at home, a father. You need a man, like if a woman marries me and a woman's like fucking 15, 20 years younger than me, whatever the fuck, she need to know that I'm saying, look, bitch, I know I'm going to die in about 20 years, but you're going to be taken care of. And she need to say, great, and I'm going to take care of these damn kids, and then I'll fuck the shit out of men my age when you die. Great, we have an understanding. It used to be that way where there was an understanding, as these two spoke about earlier. There's no understanding now. There is an understanding, and that understanding is, men, you are the women's footstool.
Can I say one quick thing? When you have a spoiled child, you can't like sit them down and convince them. You know, even though you're getting all the toys you want, you're getting everything, you're staying up late, you're eating ice cream for dinner. You know, spoiled children are miserable. They hate their parents.
Yes.
The very parents that spoil them, they hate them. They're miserable. Look at the Veruca Salt from Willy Wonka. She's just a bitch. And that's because she's just a spoiled kid. Now,
the fucking Menendez brothers.
Yep. Right. But the point is, though, you can't convince a spoiled child to do what's in their best interest. They want that pony. They want that toy. They want to stay up late. They want to eat ice cream. And if you tell them no, they're going to throw a tantrum. And trying to sit them down and reason with them isn't going to work. You just got to do it. And the thing is when you discipline a child and when they're no longer a spoiled piece of shit, then they love you and appreciate you. But the love and appreciation comes later. And I've done articles where they showed that women are self-harming themselves at greater rates. Even from 2014, the rate of self-harm has gone up over half. So women are miserable. They hate this shit. But they're too spoiled and they'll never actually change. If you're waiting for women to wake up tomorrow and like accept the patriarchy, it's not going to happen. But just like a spoiled child, you men as the parent, need to just discipline the child, restore order, and in time, they will love and appreciate you for it. But they're going to hate you in that moment. Just like a child, you tell them no and you spank them, they're gonna be screaming their head off. They're going to be calling CPS and shit like that. But you just got to remind them, it's going to take CPS 10 minutes to get here, and that's 9.5 more than I need to beat your fucking ass.
And let me tell you something. As a man who knows how to fight, 30 seconds of ass whooping is a long time. It is a long time.
You're going to feel every nanosecond.
Exactly.
One.
I love that idea of we cannot. I talk about women as like the Terminatrix. They can't be bargained with. They can't be reasoned with. They don't feel pity or remorse or fear. And they absolutely will not stop ever until you are dead.
And that's why we have the pimp's prayer.
That's right. That's right. All right. I think we're going to keep talking if we don't end this.
Yeah, we gotta cut it off right now. I gotta go get something to eat, and I'm gonna come back and do a show with them about the guys I'm gonna be on later tonight, where I'm gonna talk about Mrs. Why did I forget her name so fast? The little young child star from the 30s.
Shirley Temple?
Shirley Temple. Thank you very much. I'm gonna show them what has been going on with Hollywood for a long time, and we're trying to act like the shit's new now. Liberals have been playing fast and loose with your children for years.
Oh, not Shirley Temple.
Yes.
Yep. I know that story too.
You know the story? It's fucked up.
I do. Yes, it is.
Fucked up. She was a baby. They actually called her Baby Burlesque.
Yep.
That makes me sad.
So it made me. A young lady in the chat room showed it to me over the weekend, and I was sick to my stomach.
Yep.
Couldn't believe that it was right out in the open. And she was like, I've been a fan of Shirley Temple for years and never knew this what it was. And once somebody gives you new eyes, and that's what I think MGTOW is. MGTOW, y'all need to have a shirt. MGTOW, underneath it should say new eyes. Because once you preach to someone, you give them new eyes. They see stuff. Go ahead.
It's like that movie They Live with the glasses.
Right.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
So
thank you.
Thank you guys for joining the show. Make sure you let them know where they can find you guys outside of this show right now.
Turd Flinging Monkey on YouTube, TF Monkey on Twitch. I have a book, a Christmas book, The Doll on My Balls, available on Amazon Kindle.
I'm buying.
I'm on the Turd Flinging Monkeys channel as well. I co-host 2 of his shows. I've got my own brand new YouTube channel. It's Misandry Today. I mirror all my content on Bitchute. My content is also on MGTOW.com as far as my video content. I'm on Twitter at Misandry Today. I also am the author of the best-selling Amazon book, The Feminist Lie. It was never about equality. You can pick it up as a Kindle or a paperback. And it's got Amazon rates it at 4.5 stars, and it's got over 80 positive reviews.
Nice. I was thinking about writing me a book, but then I realized I was illiterate. But thank you guys so much for joining the show. And this has been awesome. I can't wait to do this again with you guys. Thank you guys, the fans, for watching the show and enjoying us. And watch me stand around as an old man trying to fidget behind this bar. I've enjoyed it, and I hope that you guys have too.
Bye.
We'll see you guys. Thank you.
All right, thanks. See ya.
And the great part about this, guys, is I try to bring you guys different things to watch, different things to think about, whether you agree with them or not. Think. That's all I want you guys to do. Think. Anyway, talk to you guys a little bit later. I'm going to go run and get something to eat, and then I'll be right back with the Shirley Temple stuff. And I guarantee you, y'all can thank Gail for this one, but I'll be right back with that stuff. And yeah, I will talk to you guys a little bit later. I am